This is Naked at Night with Lance, and JD, and Cassidy, and Scott from Canada, and Mark, and me. And let's start with a little art. So Lance has completed the underdrawing of Cassidy in preparation to do a wonderful freaking oil painting of fucking Cassidy.
So I just added a little brown. That's why part of it is.
But
I was adding the brown, and Rick stopped me.
Yeah, so we can see the underdrawing, which is great, before it goes away, before it gets covered with paint.
Right.
But it illustrates an issue with young, attractive people that anybody can do passable art with my face because I'm old and grizzled, and there's a lot of grizzlage to frickin' render. But somebody who's young and not grizzled, it's easy to fall into the pit of illustration of just like one more pretty person. And they talk about this on a show. I think it's on, I don't know, it's on Portrait Artist of the Year. That when they have, when they don't have an old guy to draw, it's tougher. It's tougher to, but Lance, since Lance has been doing this for what, 48 years?
Maybe, yeah.
And is highly skilled. He can do a soulful portrait of Cassidy as the underdrawing, which he is now going to cover up. And here's another soulful portrait that Lance did 8 years ago. This is Rosie, who used to be my mother-in-law's dog. Lance painted this 8 years ago. And I brought her in today. Well, that was a cheap and fast painting Lance did. Because, the more you pay Lance, the better the painting you get. That one was a $200 special. But even so, it's a beautiful frickin' painting. But I brought it in because we had to put Rosie to sleep yesterday, which sucks. But she was 15 1/3. She had cancer. She had Cushing's disease. She was refusing to eat. She was shaky on her feet. She was facing very few more good days. And, we brought her in, and it's a sucky thing, and it's never the right time. It either feels like too soon or too late. On our previous dog, we waited too long with her, and she was suffering too much, and it sucks. But if you have a pet, that's what you have to do. I blame all of humanity. We've bred dogs to be all shapes and sizes with all sorts of specialized skills, rat catchers and sheep herding. But we never went to the effort of breeding dogs that could live 25 or 30 years. It's a tougher process, but we could do it if we, weren't assholes. You have a bunch of dogs, you breed them, and then you see which of the parents live the longest, and then you breed the animals that you've already bred that are the offspring of the long-lived dogs. So it's a double generational process, and we've been, too lazy to do it, and we suffer, and dogs suffer.
What kind of emotions did you experience?
Well, you feel guilty. I stayed in there while the vet was first they administer propofol to put the dog to sleep, and then they administer the killy stuff, and I cried like crazy. Like I probably looked like a lunatic, but I figured I'm such a manly guy. And it's just the vet that I don't have to hold back. Who cares? Freaking, true men can fucking cry their asses off because we don't have to pretend to be men. We are freaking men. All right. Also, while I'm talking about being better than Lance, here's why I'm better than Lance. So I have every Sunday we do a show, I send out a list of topics. And since I'm compiling the list, a lot of the topics are why I think Trump is an a-hole. And it was the same this Sunday, except there are two things that, like, when Trump isn't wrong, when Trump says or does something that's not asshole-ish, I'll give him credit. And Trump said a couple things that I think I agree with, and I think reasonable people can agree with. That one of the reasons that we have a housing crisis is that rich investment companies buy a shit ton of homes as investments. Then they maybe rent them out or they flip them. But by putting houses in corporate hands, that creates a shortage for, just families who want to buy homes. And Trump said, maybe we need legislation to say that corporations can't buy thousands of homes. That's thing one. Thing two is Trump said that credit card companies should be limited to a maximum of 10% annual interest. And both those things seem reasonable and good for the American people. But I'm not sure if Lance has ever given Biden any credit for anything. Have you, Lance? No, wait. If I ask you that, that's going to give you an excuse to go on a rant against Biden. But have you ever given Biden credit for doing anything positive? Or Obama?
No, they were both assholes all the time.
Okay, so there you go. That's why I'm better than Lance, because I can see to some limited, teeny extent, like both sides of things.
Well, what's happening is you're beginning to realize that my side is right. And the reason I don't give your side credit is because your side is wrong. I don't have to be fair and balanced. Your side is always evil.
Wait. I have one more thing before I let you run wild. I have a prediction that you will toe the Trump party line on everything Trump has done in the last month, no matter how frickin' crazy. That you will have a bunch of reasons why it's great for America and not crazy at all.
Okay.
And I mean, we could start with something like, so this lady brings Trump her Nobel Peace Prize and gives it to Trump, for friendship. And Trump's happy to accept it. He's been complaining that he doesn't have a Nobel Peace Prize for like a year now.
He needs one.
And, the only other person to be given a Nobel Peace Prize for friendship purposes was a guy in 1943. You want to guess who it was?
No.
Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's, chief propagandist. A guy from Norway gave him his Peace Prize. I would guess because he didn't want the Nazis to be too frickin' mean to Norway.
Well, do you know why she gave him the Peace Prize?
Probably because he took out Maduro.
Isn't that a good thing?
It depends. Maduro was a bad guy.
Yes.
His VP is still in charge. So, when we took out Saddam Hussein, a bad guy, killed lots of his own people. But we didn't have a plan in place. The people in charge of that war, Gulf War II, said shit like, we will be greeted with flowers. And they didn't have a plan. And civil war erupted, and 500,000 Iraqis died, and then we got it under control. Then Obama pulled us, now, because I have to say both sides, Lance, because you will say that Obama fucked it up. So Obama then pulled out our troops, you would say prematurely, and another 500,000 people in Iraq died.
No, that was his fault. Yeah.
So we took out a bad guy, and maybe 1 million people died, and the Middle East got further destabilized. So I don't think it will go that badly in Venezuela, but it's still early days. And yeah,
By
it's
the way, this isn't the Rick show. Can I
no,
respond?
yeah. So you say shit. I've been talking a lot.
I mean, granted, I did want a little time to paint, so I let you, I brought that on myself by asking you questions. The reason that Maduro, why she gave him the prize is because that woman was elected the rightful president of Venezuela. And the only way that she's ever going to be able to assume office is the way that Trump did it, by pulling Maduro out. Now, it's true that there are still people from Maduro's government in charge of Venezuela, but they're doing exactly what we say because they don't want Trump to kill them. So it's working out very well. As far as Iraq goes, the reason that so many people died in Iraq is because after we got it under control, there was a certain rebellion after we took over. We got it under control. And then when Obama pulled out our troops, we had stabilized the country. So the people that died in the fight against us were inevitably going to die because they were fighting us. But the people that died when Obama pulled out the troops prematurely died because he's an evil man, Obama, and he wanted to snatch defeat from victory because he hates it. All Democrats hate it when America wins because he's a traitor.
So what you're saying is the 500,000 people who died in Civil War Part 1 in Iraq don't count. It was only the 500,000 further people who died in Civil War Part 2 who count as...
Number one, I don't think it was 500,000. I think we kept the casualties as low as we could. Number two, the people that died were fighting over the country. We couldn't control that. We're not gods. And so, but what we could do is gradually stabilize the situation, which we did. The only person that ever did anything purposely evil, like there was no reason to do it, was Obama, who pulled the troops out when the situation was already stabilized against the advice of everybody, of all the Republicans and everyone else that and his own military. We're saying, if you pull the troops out, this country is going to fall apart. But he did it anyway. I think it's because he's a traitor, but we'll never know exactly why he did it. But the point is that this guy that you like so much, that you think is so chill, he's the one that caused the defeat in Iraq. In fact, after he left Iraq, ISIS took over, and they killed thousands and thousands of people. And Obama told Trump as he was leaving office that it would be a generational struggle to defeat ISIS. And Trump defeated ISIS in 1 year.
Except for the ISIS that's still around now.
Well, okay, he didn't kill every single last one or the ones that could have joined after. But he stopped ISIS after they had killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis because of Obama. And the thing is, Obama was helpless. He was either on their side, I think he was on their side, or he was a helpless imbecile watching them kill because he didn't know what to do. And Trump came in and defeated ISIS in less than a year, wiped them out.
All right. So, yeah, okay. So
Trump was right and saved countless lives.
Right,
and the Democrats caused thousands of people to be killed, hundreds of thousands.
The rate of decline of ISIS was higher under Trump than under Obama.
No, there was no decline under ISIS under Obama. He was helpless. He was like a little child watching them kill and rape. And by the way, they used to burn people alive. That was the way they used to kill people. And that's because of the Democrat you voted for, Rick.
Okay,
You got a
all right,
lot of
let's
people
move on
burned.
to, all right, you
You
made
got a
your
lot of
point.
women burned. They used to put them in cages, 5 or 6 at a time, if they wouldn't fuck the Iraqi soldiers, if they refused. And so they burned them alive. And while they were doing that, you know what Obama was doing? Nothing. He watched.
No, he blew
I
up
assume he laughed about it too.
Obama.
But that's just a guess.
All right, so to be more rational here.
Rational? You want me to be more rational?
No, you don't. Hold
Your
on.
president sat there and watched
No,
thousands
Obama,
of women being burned to death and did nothing. And it was
Oh.
his fault.
Obama had different rules of engagement. So Obama was still blowing up a lot of ISIS, but not as many ISIS as Trump did.
Trump wiped them out,
Okay,
which is what Obama should have done, but he wouldn't have had to if he hadn't pulled the troops out.
fine.
Fine, but you'll still vote for him, right?
No, he can't.
But you would. You would. You voted for Biden.
Now,
And by the way, I warned you not to vote for Obama because I knew that if he took power, the Middle East would collapse.
no, you didn't.
We did this show. We did the show 7, 8 years ago. I was telling you, do not vote for Obama because Iraq will collapse.
Obama was elected president in 2008 and 2012. We didn't start doing the show until 2016. So no, you did not. Tell me that.
All right. Well, I was telling every Democrat that would listen.
Okay.
But by the way, it doesn't really matter. The point is, Democrats caused the defeat and the death of hundreds of thousands of people.
All right, fine. So
Fine.
I do in the.
That's fine.
Hold on. No, because I will tell you that, I don't believe that Obama is evil, but in hindsight, I believe that Obama played things a little too cool. And then we're going to move on because I want to talk about shit that's going on now.
Yeah.
But I believe Obama being, wanting to seem like he wasn't an angry guy and kind of being averse to conflict meant that Obama maybe leaned back away from things and got played. And also maybe it led him to make mistakes like the one you're complaining about. All right, but let's move on to Greenland.
I'll take that, by the way.
Okay. So Trump wants Greenland. Greenland is the world's largest island. It's northeast of us, but pretty close to the North American continent. And he thinks we should have it. And
Do you need a break?
No, I was gonna say, can you break this down? I haven't been updating myself recently. I've been really busy, but can you break this down? He wants Greenland, he wants to possess it.
yes. So, and Lance can feel free to correct whatever he thinks I get wrong. But
Just
Trump,
speak for 4 minutes, and I'll speak for 4 minutes.
all right.
Okay?
So,
I'll
so-
time you.
and this is part of my prediction that you think going for Greenland is fine. So Greenland is an independent nation, but also a protectorate of Denmark. Greenland used to be a territory kind of owned by Denmark, but they've gotten their independence. They have 57,000 people on this huge landmass, and only 57,000 because it's a freaking giant glacier with mile-thick ice covering most of it. The U.S. has had treaties with Greenland since 1941 that says we can pretty much put up as many bases as we want. In 1945, we had 17 military bases there, and that number probably grew during the Cold War. And Greenland's supposed to be sitting on a ton of mineral wealth, like metals that you need for tech. But they've licensed 140 mining and issued 140 mining licenses, but only 2 are being used because it's so brutal to try to do anything on this island that's above the Arctic Circle. Anyway, we can put up as many bases as we want. Right now, we only have 1. But Trump wants the U.S. to own it because he says if we don't, China or Russia will take it. But Greenland via Denmark is part of NATO. And Trump has been saber rattling. Either you sell us Greenland or we may be forced to take it. And that would mean going up against the EU. The EU has 500 million people in it, a bunch of countries, add their populations together, 500 million. They've, over the past few years, with Russia being aggressive, they have upped their military, how much they spend on their militaries. So we'd be fighting a population. We're part of NATO, but all of a sudden we'd be fighting NATO with a combined population of 50% more than the US. Even though, like, Denmark, Greenland will let us do whatever we want. If we want to put up a shitload of bases, if we want to go in there and start mining, they would be okay with that. But Trump wants to own the whole frickin' island. Lance, how long did I talk?
2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take the full 4 minutes. So the situation is that I'll start with the most important thing. The most important thing is that Trump is negotiating, and he's acting really kooky in that he's threatening a NATO ally in a way, because I think that eventually he's going to settle for buying it. And there's no possibility of war. We're not going to fight Britain to get Greenland. That's absurd.
Well, hold on. I agree. I agree with that. That
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. But what's really happening is this. There are 57,000 people on Greenland, and I did a little math, and we offered them $700 billion. What that means is $14 million for every man, woman, and child in Greenland. Now, you may say, but Greenland is part of Denmark. Well, it turns out that Greenland actually can be independent. They can vote to be independent if they want to. According to their deal with Denmark, anytime they want to leave Denmark, they can. All they have to do is take a vote. And so what Trump should do, and what it looks like he's going to do, is he's going to say, look, vote your way away from Greenland, from Denmark, to become independent, which you have every right to do. And even the Danes agreed to that years ago, that that's not controversial. But then after you've achieved independence, then join us, and we'll give each person in your country $14 million. Now, frankly, I don't see them saying no to that. And so the reason that he's saying, in my opinion, we're going to get that country or else, is because he wants them. It's an incentive. It's probably just an idle threat. It may not be, but it's a threat to say, look, take the $14 million. It's like when you're dealing with the mafia. They always come to you and they say, look, if you do what we want, you get $10,000. If you don't do what we want, we kill you. So a lot of people will take the $10,000 and say, hey, I got $10,000. So I think they're going to take the $14 million, if that is in fact the plan, because they've already floated the idea of paying $700 billion for Greenland. And the $700 billion was not going to go to Denmark. It was going to go to Greenland, and it wasn't going to go to government agencies in Greenland. It was going to go to the 57,000 people that are there.
Hold on. I have a
3 minutes
question.
and 15 seconds. Do you? I'd like to go on, but do you want to?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why are we giving everybody in Greenland $14 million, which is also, by the way, $2,000 for every single American man, woman, and child added to our national debt, which means we're paying interest on that. Why do we need Greenland? And let me say, if it's because we're afraid that some other enemy of ours will take it and put missiles on it, and they would have a missile base close to us, our enemies already have missile bases within 100 miles of us often, and these are nuclear subs with nuclear weapons. The trouble with a nuclear sub is they're hard to find, and if they launch a nuke at us, instead of having 20 minutes to knock it out of the sky, we have 90 seconds or 2 minutes because they're only 150 miles off our coast. So why do we need Greenland? And maybe at some point in the future, we'll figure with climate change, maybe the glacier will melt some. Maybe we'll develop the technology to drill through a mile of ice to get at stuff. But why do we need to pay $2,000 for every American for something that is not very usable at this point, and where if it were usable, we could just make deals? Greenland would be happy to let in all sorts of mining concerns. They've already issued 140 mining licenses to various entities. Just nobody exercises those licenses because it's a bitch to frickin' drill in Greenland.
All right, I'm going to take 4 minutes.
Wait,
to
can I
answer.
No,
just
you're
say
not.
one little
Go
intervene? Yeah, like my question is why? Oh, that's my little break. Okay, my question is why, I agree with you, like why would we spend that much money and then like also not be focusing on like the issues going on in America with like homelessness, poverty, healthcare, like certain things that are actually really important. Like why are we focusing on Greenland, this country that's like that small?
Okay, I'm sorry, Rick. I'm going to have to take 4 minutes because, you talked at length and then she talked at length, and I only got 3 minutes to begin with.
And also, you're taking minutes like Trump wants to take Greenland.
That's the kind of guy I am. So, the reason, okay, first of all, just let me tell you something about the real world, okay? Which nobody likes to talk about, but it's kind of the way things really are. You can't have a territory that large anywhere on Earth that only has 57,000 people in it. It's going to get gobbled up by somebody. And this is the first time that the Soviets or that the Russians and the Chinese are really they're infringing on it. They're getting closer. Their navies are going around it. They're building bases right next to it, and that's never happened before. So they obviously see the value of being around it. There are shipping lanes that are very important, and there are the location is very important if you're developing the Golden Dome. So let me explain what's going on. I didn't really understand it myself until I saw a map. If you look at a map from above of the world, you could easily divide the world into two spheres. The sphere that has Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and the other side that has Russia, basically, and the ocean. But you can draw a line from Alaska through Canada to Greenland to Norway, all the way to, I believe, Finland. And you have a perfect area that encompasses NATO and the US. And it turns out that we're developing secret weaponry that we now believe is so advanced that it could protect the whole Western Hemisphere and Europe. And you can't have a great big open space right in the middle that is occupied by Greenland because it's right in the middle. It's the place where every missile and every weapon and every army could just plow right through. So you obviously, your next question will be, well, why don't we just build bases there?
as we've done in the past.
Right. And the answer is, even when we did it in the past, we begged the Danes, could you please let us buy this territory from you because we're building up huge weaponry, huge facilities in an area that is going to belong to you. And as a result, future American administrations will never really take it seriously. The American, Trump said something very interesting. He said, you know, if you're going to put vast amounts of people, weapons, facilities of all kinds into an area, you better own it because it essentially it's yours, and because you're the one doing something with it. The 57,000 people in Greenland are scattered around the coast doing nothing. They're fishing. And so what Trump is saying is, I am going to build Greenland into a major place in the world that might have 500,000 people on it, 500,000 Americans. And I don't want to do that unless we're going to own it. And if we do own it, then we can protect North America and Europe. If we don't own it, and I don't do this, then Greenland is a pathway straight over the pole, over the North Pole for the Russians to go right through down into Washington, D.C. It's an open path. So we have to do it. And the last thing I'm going to say is a little cruel for a Democrat to hear. But frankly, if it's my country or the rights of the 57,000 people, I'm going to take my country. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. It was nice that you and Denmark had this little deal, but I need a golden dome to protect North America.
All right, so you're not respecting the rights of these 57,000 people, but
No,
you're giving, hold on. Now,
If worse comes to worse, they can go fuck themselves.
but you are giving each of them $14 million.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No, it wouldn't be nice. What about for 1,000th of that? What about for 700 million instead of 700 billion?
Well, because
we
wanna give
buy
them-
chunks of where we want to buy bases.
No,
It's a
we-
huge.
no,
so,
we wanna give them a
we
fair
had
deal.
17 bases
Shouldn't
in the
ask that
50s. We
question.
probably had more than 20 bases because we expanded as part of our nuclear strategic air command. We could land bombers there that carried nuclear weapons.
Yes.
And we had 20 bases across Greenland. Greenland doesn't give a shit. Greenland would be happy to sell off parts of its coast. We would not have to spend nearly $1 trillion, add $1 trillion to the deficit. And if we want to buy part of the coast, and then if we want to buy Greenland in pieces and continue to negotiate with them, fine. But why $2,000 for every American for something that gives us no immediate benefit when we're trying to hold down expenses and come up with enough money for programs for Americans themselves?
Since you asked the question, I'm going to take a minute to answer it. The answer is this. It's the same as Alaska. Exactly what you're saying right now is what they said about buying Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And buying Alaska was a great idea. And in the 21st century, if you can expand your country, that is a great thing. I would love for the American flag to be hanging over Greenland. I would love Greenland to be part of America. It would open up countless possibilities. I would love our people to be able to go to Greenland as their country. It would be, and the possible wealth that is hiding underneath the ice is incalculable.
What were the benefits of owning Alaska or something like Hawaii when they did that to Hawaii?
Well, It's always beneficial for your country to expand. It means that your people can thrive. It means that your people can go to new places and and open up new businesses and have basically. It's a historical fact that as a country expands, it gets all the resources, it gets the power. So militarily, economically, it's always in a country's interest to expand.
There was a
Where-
very smart guy who said, yeah, you need to continue to expand for your people. And he had a word for it. He called it Lebensraum, living space.
That's what Hitler said. But he wanted to do it cruelly. He was expanding into areas that were already occupied by powerful people, and he was not willing to make deals with them. He just wanted to make them slaves. In this case, Trump wants to make every person in Greenland rich. I'll take the deal. If
So
he wants to
700
buy Torrance, and give me 14 million, I'll take the deal.
So
It's kind of
700
crazy.
Go ahead.
700 billion is one number I've heard. I've heard numbers that are less. I've heard 1.5 trillion, which would be what, 29, 30 million for every Greenland resident. That's a ton of money. It adds 2% to our national debt, which means we're paying $35 billion extra just in interest on the 700 billion. Now, Alaska, we bought it. People made fun of that. But it took, I don't know, probably 80 years, 90, 100 years to pay off. Do we want to buy something that will take, say, 30, 40 years to pay off? I mean, to deliver any kind of economic benefit after we've been paying tens of billions of dollars in interest on the purchase price for decades?
For the largest island in the world.
Now,
I
some
love it.
people say that Trump wants this big piece of land so much because on maps it looks 10 times as big as it actually is, because most maps are the Mercator projection, which exaggerates the size of the farther something is from the equator, the bigger it looks, because it's a projection. So on a map, it looks larger than Australia. In real life, it's, I don't know, maybe a third, a quarter of the size of Australia, which is still big. But Trump loves big. And all right, let's move on from this. Minneapolis.
Okay.
So again, my prediction is that you will take the party line on everything.
Yes.
So the third shot that Officer Jonathan Ross took into, now he was about here. I'm not going to make gun fingers at Cassidy's head, but he was standing here next to Renee Good, who was driving past him. For the third shot, he just stuck out his hand and had his gun into her car through the open driver's window and shot her pretty much point blank in the side of the head. The report from the Minneapolis Fire Department, who tended to her body when they were allowed onto the scene, said she had the contents of her skull had spilled out of the side shot into her head. But I'm going to predict you're okay with that third shot.
Yeah, I am actually. So the way it works is that I don't know if Democrats know this, but you're not allowed to grab a policeman. If you grab a policeman, you go to jail. So let's start off. First of all, this woman was Antifa, so she was actually training. They found a manual that she had where they actually were going over how you can use your car to impede the actions of law enforcement. They trained that way, and this is a real thing. I saw the manual, On my news station, they actually showed you the manual.
What, Fox? You saw it on
Yeah,
Fox?
that they show them how to grab the arms of the cop, how to talk back to him, how to use your car either to block ice, and maybe even how to hit people with your car.
I think it's good
let me
that
continue.
people are organizing like that.
Okay, you'll have a chance. You'll have a chance. So, in fact, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to respond. I'm going to take 3 minutes. Okay. So, I know, and I've known since I was a teenager, that you're not allowed to grab a cop. If a cop is doing something, you can't grab him. And amazingly, when I was in high school, my friend was in his car and the cop said, "Stop." And he didn't stop. He had a bad temper. He aimed his car at the cop, and the cop did what he was supposed to do, which is shoot him and kill him.
Your friend?
Yep. So when he died, all of his friends got together and said, yeah, he should not have driven his car at the cop. So rule number one, when they tell you to get out of the car, which is what they said, you get out of the car. Rule number two, you don't race off. Rule number three, if you do race off, don't point your car at the cop.
So,
I'm not- I only took 1
initially
minute
you
and 8
said that
seconds.
she grabbed a cop.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh,
I
you
said-
you
I said-
implied that she grabbed
No,
a
I
cop.
didn't. No, I didn't. No, I only took 1 minute and 8 seconds. But no, she didn't grab the cop. What she did is she clipped the cop with her car.
She didn't, though.
Okay, but we're saying she did.
If you
Our
if you
side-
look at the video though, it looks like she wasn't aggressive or anything. She just was, and her wife, I believe, was holding like a strong boundary and provoked this who actually isn't a cop, an ICE agent.
Yeah, it's okay. Same thing.
It's not the same.
It's
thing.
not.
It's
It's those
absolutely
guys that-
the ICE
yeah.
agents are not put through training like a cop is, and they don't have the law down like the cop is. They're operating on a legal basis.
All right.
Oh, here's a fun. Wait, here's a
I only
fun. Here's a
took- I
fun
only took-
aside. Here's a fun aside.
And
So,
also, these
wait,
ICE agents
so-
are being used to like control and confuse and dominate society. And so, thank God there's groups that are organizing and showing people how to fight against these, because once it hits your close family and friends and neighborhoods, it's gonna be like it's now touching everything and everyone.
so here's a fun thing about ICE. So ICE.
Okay, so
No,
I
hold
got
on, hold
1
on. No, wait,
minute.
wait.
I got
Let me
1
let me
minute
say
and
a
I wasn't
thing.
able to
So
respond
so
to either of you.
so ICE offers 8 weeks of training
Uh-huh.
in how to be an ICE officer,
Okay.
or 4 weeks if you've already worked as law enforcement. But to determine whether you get the 4 weeks of training or the 8 weeks of training, they use AI to read resumes. And if you say, if the word officer shows up in any of your paperwork, they assume you've been an officer, and they give you 4 weeks of training, even if you've said, "Sir, I would like to be an ICE officer." The AI is like, "Oh, they've been." So there are likely ICE officers on the street who received a total of 4 weeks of training with no previous experience. Christy Nome, no previous law enforcement experience. And so that's a culture of not, and even 8 weeks is not adequate. Cops, real cops out on the street go to a police academy for 8 to 10 to 12 months, and then they are on probation with an experienced cop for another year. It's nearly a 2-year process. Canadian Corner has just popped up.
Okay,
Scott.
Wait,
okay,
hold on.
Rick,
Lance has a minute and
Rick,
20 seconds.
no, I don't
2
have,
minutes and 20
no, I don't have, this is what happened. You interrupted me when I had 1 minute.
Right.
So you gave a long speech about what a shithead I am and Trump is, and then I had 1 minute to respond,
Right.
and then Cassidy took a couple minutes. So I need to respond to Rick, and then I need to respond to Cassidy.
You got 4
So I'm going
minutes.
to take 4 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna keep time.
Okay. So,
Go.
rule number one, this is happening because the Democrats are assholes. All right. Now, the rest of the country had a vote, And we elected somebody that planned to empty the country of illegal aliens. And we decided the good thing
All
to
of
do.
them, just everybody?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. And we decided we would start with the rapists and the murderers and the gang members.
Yeah, but only 5% of the
Yeah,
people
I don't
picked up
care.
by
I don't
ICE
care. I don't
are
care.
rapists
I don't
and
care.
criminals and
Rick,
gang members.
Rick,
Wait,
all
can
right,
I say
let's-
one thing too?
okay, let's
Also,
start again.
several of my
Let's-
friends who
Mhm.
are U.S. citizens have
Mhm.
been interrogated and
Yeah, that's fine.
harassed
That's
by
fine.
ICE agents.
That's fine. I'm happy about
Profiled.
it. That's good. That's good. I'm glad they're doing their job.
They're citizens.
Okay, that's fine.
Also, wait, can I say one last thing? The U.S. government, or just government in general, does not give a shit about us as people, about who you are as like an artist. What they're doing is they're controlling us like big chicken corporations would control chicken. They're just putting us in these, like, we are a number to the government. We are not human life at all.
All right.
3 minutes.
No. JD, don't I'm going to take 4 minutes because as soon as I got a sentence off, both of them interrupted me. So let's start again.
Got it. Go.
All right. So, number one, we elected in a fair election somebody that was going to end illegal immigration and send back the people that got here. Now, we started with criminals, and so these people that were up there were probably criminals. As I understand it, they were criminals. And what happened is the Democrats are trying to foment civil disobedience. The Democrats are the people that don't care about you. Because what they're doing is they're using their own leftist lunatics to cause civil unrest and chaos, the same way they did for George Floyd. So this isn't about the rights or anything good of American citizens. They're using these people to cause chaos in a hope that they can create a situation so appalling that people will not vote for Trump and that they can take over the House in November. So so what they're doing is they're risking the lives of their own leftist lunatics and telling them, they're agitating them so that they'll go out and get killed by ICE. So inevitably, this is what they want. They wanted their people to get killed by ICE so that they can have another George Floyd moment.
That sounds absolutely insane to me.
Okay, it sounds bad because you're a Democrat.
No,
I know you
but
say
even like
no,
if you look at the,
you're interrupting me. Sorry, dear. We do have rules. We have rules on the show. I have 2 minutes left. Okay. Now, I don't know whether this ICE agent was in the right or wrong until there's an inquiry. So it's possible that he made a mistake.
Can I briefly interrupt? Because they're stifling
no,
an inquiry. They're not doing an inquiry.
That's fine. Because what the Democrats are going to do is they're going to cause this all over the country. The whole time that Trump's in office, they're going to be throwing their people against ICE. And even if this guy doesn't kill one, some ICE person will kill one. And then you'll be able to say,
we already killed one.
Okay, but even if she had lived, even if nothing bad had happened, some leftist lunatic is going to get killed. So I'm granting you that. I'm saying that if you don't stop throwing your people against ICE, then people will inevitably get killed. That's what happens. That's why there is civil unrest. This is how it starts. And that's why there's laws against inciting violence and laws against fighting and resisting the cops. Now, I believe personally, even though you don't, that I actually saw a video that showed that she hit the cop with her car. Okay? I saw the video. I heard it. It's audible. It's from the cop's point of view. It's
the sound of his phone
first of all,
hitting the
let's not
hood.
call him a cop.
Okay. Even if he isn't a cop, he has the same rights. Okay, you can't clip anybody that comes from the government with your car. And the reason he killed her or shot her was because she could have used that car after clipping him to double back and hit any of the other cops that were there. They were dealing with a crazed lunatic that wouldn't stop. She wouldn't get out of her car.
Absolutely.
No, wait, still talking. She had her car blocking. She was interfering with the arrest they were doing. Then she, instead of just taking her foot off the gas, instead of just getting out of the car, she decided she was going to start ramming people. So it was his duty to shoot her so she didn't ram other cops.
So how long do you have? You're done. All right. So she was kind of, yeah, she was a protester. She was teasing the cop. Her partner was taunting the cop. But when she realized that maybe the situation was escalating, she showed that she wasn't a lunatic by backing up, cutting her wheels to the left so her car swung right, and then stopping, cutting her wheels to the right and taking off going forward, trying to get out of there while avoiding the cop. The people on your side say what is proof that she crashed into him is the cop had his cell phone in his left hand. As he was pulling out his gun with his right hand, he put his phone hand on the hood of the car, which was moving slowly. And then the phone clattered around as he put his hand there, though his body was about 18 inches to 2 feet off of that. He also slipped on the ice a little bit, maybe braced a little bit that way. But anyway, it was just his phone hand. His body was not clipped. And he shot her through the lower right corner, well, it depends on facing the car, the lower right corner of the windshield. But he was
The
already.
front windshield?
What?
The front windshield.
Yeah, the windshield.
Uh-huh.
His first shot went through the lower right corner, the driver's side corner, through her arm, because it caused 2 wounds, through her arm into her chest. And then the next 2 shots went through her driver's side window which was open, as she drove past him.
I think I find it insane that you are so against those women being burned alive, but you're not seeing an innocent woman who was shot as an innocent woman who didn't. She was just holding her ground with her rights, and she was sticking up to him, but she didn't threaten him. She didn't harm him. So I'm like, why are you against sticking up for an innocent woman? She's an innocent woman.
She's not innocent.
But did she?
She asked me a question. Can I answer the question?
Yeah, but you're saying she deserved to die.
Rick,
also, and we got to get to Scott
I'm
too.
going to answer a
All right.
question.
Go
okay?
ahead.
1, she had placed her car in such a way that she was interfering with the arrest. She had gone there to try to stop the arrest. That's against the law in every state of the union. You're not allowed to interfere by blocking the cops with your car. Don't interrupt me. She asked me a question, Rick. Okay, the second thing is this. In every state in the union, in every country on earth, if the cop says, stop, get out of the car, you don't say, oh, here's my chance to back up and drive around. I'll turn my wheels this way, then I'll turn my wheels this way. No, you stop the car. If you don't, that's called evading arrest.
It's not arrest, though, actually.
Okay, she's trying to escape or she's trying to clip the cop. Either way, no human being, not me, not you, not Rick, not JD, could have gotten away with that without getting shot. That's how you get shot.
But wait, I really think
I don't want to have to yell, so I'm going to say it lower. You don't resist with your car when the cops are trying to stop you.
But the ICE is not cops.
If ICE comes and stops you,
You're actually allowed to refuse
Yeah,
like
I-
you're actually
but-
allowed to refuse to
yeah, ICE
engage with
doesn't.
ICE.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're allowed to not let them in your house, and you're allowed to drive off if they're trying to mess with you. It's
They-
actually
they
they
can-
can't. It's not the same legal term.
Yeah, they can take your license and report you to the actual police. But all right, the way she was parked where she was for about 3 minutes. In that 3 minutes, 11 vehicles, including ICE vehicles, passed by her on the street. So her blockade was not successful. Let's go to Scott in Canada. Scott, what you got? You're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Yes, God's on mute again.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So what do you want me to comment on, Minnesota or on Greenland or on Canada?
We're talking about Minnesota's more. Let's do Minnesota.
Okay. So for Minnesota,
You're a Canadian.
yeah, I mean Minnesota, that's a very much an internal American problem. Just bear in mind, I mean, the conversation, it's a 4 to 5% of the world sort of echo chamber. I think the Greenland case is a little more interesting, if I may.
All right,
because
Greenland.
I believe Prime Minister Carney noted that with sort of Greenland under Denmark being a member of NATO, Article 4 and Article 5 are in play. So if there was any sort of military attack or something equating to that, it would trigger that mechanism potentially. I don't know what that would look like, how that would play out, but it would be a very significant change in, at least in Western geopolitics and sort of military dynamics. Yeah.
So is it true that a bunch of NATO countries have been sending personnel to Greenland?
I've seen that reported. I have no firm confirmation on that.
I can answer. The French and the Germans have each sent under 20 individuals.
So just token presence.
Yeah. So it can reach the threshold of a news statement. That's not significant. Yeah. So right wing in America to like make fun of that, I think that's an appropriate stance, honestly. But in terms of like the Carney response that Article 4 and 5 are in play, then that is also, I think, irrelevant.
All right. So you like to fact check some of the stuff that's said on this show. Do you have any fact checking to offer about any of the things we've been talking about?
I think the pretty standard lines have been stated by, I mean, the sort of the political binary that Americans typically have between Democrats and Republicans.
If we're going to talk about the binary, polls of Americans say that it's nearly 2 to 1.
Do you need a break?
Americans surveying saying it was a bad shooting versus a justified shooting. You see numbers like 53% bad shooting, 30% good shooting, 18% don't have enough information.
That's a pretty good middle. Americans don't usually have that big of a middle. I mean, some studies have shown, like, for instance, those are just reading social media from different accounts, it dropped from 10% to 5% for the middle, which shows polarization. So the fact that there's an 18% that are sort of in the middle, that's
What you're saying is that there might be some reasonable Americans left out there.
Hedging can be helpful in a heated political moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely hedging is helpful. Speaking of hedging and all along those lines, this has been a good show, a good long show, and all along those lines. But I do have a quick question for Cassidy that I think Scott will enjoy as well and everything, because y'all know I work at a cultural arts center and all along those lines. And a gentleman about your age, Cassidy, came and interviewed me about history. And it was about Black Wall Street and some of the history about revolving around urban renewal and gentrification and all along those lines. But he was lamenting the fact that he didn't know enough of the history of Durham, North Carolina, where I am, and everything like that. And he was lamenting on the fact that he doesn't know enough about regional history in general and everything like that. So I was just wondering your take on his comment, because like I said, the gentleman was probably in his 30s. I believe he's in grad school and all along those lines, but he was lamenting that people that are in that Gen X and millennial spaces don't know enough of their history, and he would like to see that changed and everything like that. So of course I'm biased because I work at a historical center and everything like that, but I was just wondering your take on that, and if that's a interest of yours, history in general.
Cassie, you go first.
Yeah, I feel like it's really, really important for us to thoroughly understand the history at its root and core of this land, and then our own heritages and where we all come from, but also like historically what happened, how it happened. Because for us to understand exactly what's happening now, history does nothing but continue to repeat itself in different ways at a micro and macrocosms. And I think it's really important, especially for millennials and the next generations to understand that, because that's how we keep the story going, and thoroughly understanding how to make like positive changes in a positive direction that benefits all.
Yeah, if you go to high school in Texas or college in Texas, you have to take Texas history. I would assume almost everybody who lives in Texas knows that Six Flags, the name of the amusement park, refers to the 6 different national flags that have flown over Texas. I think growing up in Colorado, we had to take some Colorado history. It was very inadequate. Like I never learned that that a lot of the place names like Lyman, Colorado, were named after like Native American entities that we slaughtered. California, I don't know that you have to take California history. Yeah, it would probably be good to have some of that. I would suggest that it's no fucking good to take a foreign language anymore, since everybody's phone can pretty much simultaneously translate a foreign language into English. Plus, English is the language of the world. And rather than wasting 6 semesters taking French, which you'll never really know. I took like 5 years of French. I don't know French. I can say a couple bad words. I can count to 10, maybe. Instead, take that time. Teach people civics. Teach people statistics. And yeah, teach them freaking history. Teach them how to not be made crazy by propaganda.
Before I get to Scott, and I want to hear his views about history from a Canadian perspective, and I know we've got music getting ready to come up as well. I was going to give Lance some good news because he will enjoy this little bit of a story that I'm going to share and everything like that. But one of the shows that airs on the network is actually a Latin American show. And there was a young gentleman that was actually talking about Guatemala, and he was saying that he knew somebody from Guatemala that had been detained by ICE, but then they were brought back into the country because they were detained by ICE, transported back to Guatemala, but then they went through the correct channels to become now a legal citizen back in the U.S. So he was complaining that enough of those stories aren't told, where people are actually detained but then returned back to the country by doing the correct paperwork. And that's happened recently.
In the first place, then, of course.
Right.
So you're saying that there are stories of people of immigrants being treated reasonably by the American system, and we need to talk more about those.
Right. That's what Mr. Torres was saying, because he does some of that work in the state above me, which is Virginia, and everything like that. So yeah, he was on.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, because right now all we hear are horror stories. ICE fires a big rubber bullet into a megaphone held by this 21-year-old kid. You're not supposed to fire those giant rubber bullets at people's heads. You're supposed to fire at torso from a certain distance, and it hurts, and you fall over, and then you crawl away. If it hits you in the head, it can take your eye out. It took this kid's eye out. Crazy. And that's the story. The family where coming home from a baseball game, ICE sets a tear gas bomb off under their car, and we hear all that all the time. And yeah, if there's stories of people behaving reasonably, that would be great. I would welcome that. You want to have some music from JD here?
Oh, I wanted to hear Scott talk about history, and then I'd definitely get to JD and music.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been a perennial complaint about young people by old people since like the Romans and the Greeks. One, they aren't doing things the way we've been doing them. Two, they don't know where we came from. And so I think it's being echoed in this generational sort of process too.
Yeah.
Lance, how many ICE agents are there? You would know this better than I would.
How many ICE agents are there?
There are 22,000 as of, I don't know, last month. 2,000 of them, 9% of them are in Minnesota.
So what I'm getting from this is like a statistical distribution is probably there, where you'll get tragic cases, proper cases, and then weird cases of out, and then proper paperwork, then back in,
Right.
over that number of agents processing people.
I
Right?
did nightclub security for 25 years, and I was a pussy. I was always the one who'd run up like hands waving, go, he's had enough. It's like my bouncer buddies would be kicking the shit out of somebody, and I'd be like, and everybody like, yeah, nobody listened to me. So I bet there might be some ICE equivalents of me, the guy who like kind of maybe tries to be cool and say, guys, maybe don't brutalize. That's enough. I don't know. Probably statistically, out of 22,000 people, there are probably some ICE agents who aren't dickheads.
Now time for music.
Here we go.
As cold as ice.
All right, here we go. Music.
Willing to sacrifice our love. Hey, Mark. Oh, Mark is gone. Well, anyway,
I'm here. What you need?
I wanted to share with you, Mark, before I do this next song. This is an original song called the LA song. There we go.
Can I turn this so we see you?
That's okay. I can move this chair. That's fine.
Careful, you
Oh,
knock this over.
Okay.
there we go. Anyway, hey, Mark. So this song is called the LA song. I wrote this back in 1999 when I first moved to Los Angeles. And guess what? This coming Tuesday, I'm doing my very first red carpet at the Chinese Grauman Theater.
Oh, cool.
It's like the real deal. I'm in this movie. It's this feature film called Klika, and I'm in a couple of scenes. So to all the audience out there, go watch Klika. It's going to be in theaters starting January 23rd.
Okay.
And,
Who does it star?
It starts as, did you say who it stars?
Yeah, who is the star of the film?
Ironically, the guy's name is JD. He's spelled
Okay.
with Jayde. He's a Mexican singer, rapper, Mexican American rapper singer. And it also stars Eric Roberts.
Mhm.
And there's another guy in there. But the irony of this, the lead, which I'm in a major scene with him towards the beginning of the movie, is that my name is JD.
And the star's name is JD.
And-
Before you get to playing, are we talking Eric Roberts, Julius Roberts' brother?
Yes.
Can I point out one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Your T-shirt says "Rock God."
Yep.
You want to tell people what that is?
Oh, yeah. So I'm wearing a T-shirt that reads Rock God, and it has my name underneath it because I have a YouTube series called Rock God. If y'all go to YouTube and put JD Mata, there's 12 episodes of Rock God. It's basically very campy stories of a musician who's struggling in LA, like me. And also, we're on X. We're the first comedy series on X. So you go to X, put Rock God, JD Mata, that'll pop up.
Hey,
But,
we might have to get that on Pod TV.
Yes, for sure. Also, Mark, so it's my first real red carpet. It's like genuine bona fide red carpet, Chinese Grauman Theater. My girlfriend's going with me. It's black tie event. We gotta work. I gotta find a tuxedo. I don't own a tuxedo, so I gotta find one.
They're rental places. You can rent one.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a cheap ass though, so if I can borrow one.
I have tuxedo parts.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I mean,
Fantastic.
they're kind of crappy, but
Who cares?
okay.
Anyway, so I felt compelled to share that with you, Mark. That you're a podcast TV personnel guy is going to do an actual red carpet on Tuesday, and I'll take pictures and I'll share them on our next episode.
Please do. I look forward to it.
And so this song I wrote in 1999, and it talks about some of my dreams that I had when I first moved here.
Okay, cool.
Check it out. Big star and move to LA and find my way. I want it today. I want to ride hit song. People can sing like I hate you. And yesterday, you'll see me on the big screen, on the TV. You read about me in People magazine. I paid my dues, I played all the bars, and I'm on my way to LA. I wanna sit and talk with Dave, Jay Leno too, appear on Friends, and Oprah too. I wanna sit and talk with, oh shit, oh, I wanna, you'll see me on the big screen, on the TV. You read about me in Playboy magazine. I paid my dues, played all the bars, and I'm on my way to LA. And here I am. First red carpet, baby, finally, after 25 years. Bam! Bam!
The only trick you need to save time and money is to shop at Aldi. Aldi. Shop differently. Limitless length plus volume. Sensational from every angle. New Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara. Only from Maybelline, New York. Everything that touches your baby should be this comforting. Pampers Swaddlers. The #1 choice of hospitals is 2 times softer. All right, Trivago. Find me a hotel somewhere in Thailand where I can wake up with a view of the ocean. Awesome. The future. It's impossible to see. And when it's finally here, it might not be what you'd expect. It might just be better. Introducing Luxury Electric. Introducing Lucid Air. We're for those who love to discover, who don't need to travel to find something new, and who know when you spend less, you can discover even more at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Smooth, velvety chocolate wrapped in precious gold. Ferrero Rocher.
Recognize the excuses are not valid. They're conjured up, they're fabricated, they're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. The truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done.
The fruit of everything good in life begins with a challenge. Everything is uphill this required. And it's not going to come to you, and it's not going to fall in your lap, and it's not going to be something that, oh my God, it just was so simple. It's always going to be difficult.
If you want it, you gotta go get it.
This is your chance. This is your shot. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your place. This is your opportunity.
This is my time. This is my moment. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Ain't no such thing as tomorrow. We only got today. It's your dream. If you want to have it, beat your butt up and make it happen. If you want to have it, rise and grind. You still got work to do. Stay on that basketball court. Stay on that football field. It's grind season, homie.
This is your time to get what you want. Go work that thing with Work That Thing supplements.
Yeah.
Can we modify
Hey, this
that?
is Naked at Night
Yes, let
with
me
Cassidy,
change the
Lance, JD, Mark, Scott, and Rick. And okay, let's do a topic here. So every president pardons people, generally at the end of their administration, the last day as they're out of leaving office. Every president pardons people where it seems like kind of a stinky deal, like it's doing somebody a favor, rather than freeing somebody from prison who maybe was imprisoned harshly or unjustly, or who's done a good job of reforming themselves. But Trump has, I don't know, pardoned roughly 2,000 people. And a lot of the ones he's pardoned lately have been fraudsters. And the problem with pardoning a fraudster is, or giving them clemency, is that they no longer have to pay restitution to their victims. And some of his pardoned fraudsters have scammed people out of more than $100 million. So if you add the restitution that the victims aren't getting. Now, they may not have gotten it anyway, because like you can say to somebody in prison, you have to repay $115 million. And if they don't have it, then too bad. But he has forgiven the fraudsters roughly $500 million in court ordered repayments, which doesn't seem fair to the victims. So Lance, how should we feel about some of his? Oh, one lady, the most egregious case to a lib is this lady. He pardons her during his first administration for fraud. That lady's daughter had given more than $1 million in campaign contributions. During the Biden administration, she does more fraud, and she goes to prison again, and Trump has pardoned her a second time. She didn't learn her lesson the first time. She went back to frauding, but Trump got her out again. How do we feel good about these pardons? And without using whataboutism, but you're going to use whataboutism. Yeah, I acknowledge that other presidents have done stinky deals too.
Okay. I'm going to take 4 minutes.
Well, I only talked for 100 seconds.
All right. I'm going to take 3 minutes.
Okay.
So first of all, I don't know anything about this at all. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to opine about something I don't know anything about. I will say that Trump has brought peace to 8 wars. We have inflation down to 2.7% after it rose to 9% under Biden. And even though it continued, it began to go down under Biden, it was still up to 9%. So it was only going down from something really high, insanely high. He's also, he wiped out the Iranian nuclear threat, which the Democrats didn't care about. In Washington, D.C. was one of the murder capitals of the U.S. Now it's one of the safest cities in America. It's the safest large city in America, all because of Trump. He's also in foreign policy, he's defeated Maduro. Venezuela is going to become an ally, and Iran is going to become neutralized. It's going to become an ally. And these are wonderful things. He's going to reduce credit card percentages to 10%. He's going to have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. He is trying to stop the Democrats from mutilating our children's genitals. Through a variety of laws. He's going to try and have voter ID, which means that you've got to prove that you're an American citizen before you vote. He's going to have, for the first time in history, we have no people crossing the border. It's at 0% now. Uh, the Biden administration allowed millions and millions of illegals over the border, and Rick was it claimed that he cared about that, but I guess he didn't. Because so what Rick's job is now, since Trump is an incredible success, both internationally and nationally, Rick's job now is to pick little things that the Democrats can find, like maybe he pardoned somebody that shouldn't be pardoned. And you can argue about things like that. Especially, I don't know what the circumstances are. I know that the Democrats use the legal system to put Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon in prison, and those are two heroes of mine that did nothing wrong. So I don't. They also.
It's got to be 3 minutes, Lance.
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, all right. So you're half right about the Washington, D.C. murder rate. This is AI. Murder rate in D.C. dropped significantly for the second consecutive year, with homicides in 2025 falling to their lowest level in 8 years. So the first year that they started dropping, this decline, which followed a 30-year high in 2023, is attributed to a combo. So increased law enforcement, improved case closure rates, return to normalcy post-pandemic, and in late 2025, federal intervention. So one of the big drop years was under Biden, and then one was under Trump. Two more quick things, and then we'll move on to something else. Trump's claims he's fixed inflation by holding it to 2.7% in 2025, the same number as Biden in 2024. Biden's inflation rate was 9% in 2022, and then as we recovered from disrupted supply chains and to some extent greedflation. But by 2024, it was a terrible number, Trump said, under Biden in 2024, though it's his successful number in 2025. Now, Trump's been in office for almost a year. On Tuesday, it'll be exactly a year. And there have been end of first year surveys. One survey has 42% of Americans saying Trump's first year was a success and 58% saying it was a failure. You want to go to it? No, let's go to another topic. Oh, Iran. So last time we met, you said Iran might fall, and I acknowledged that I'd give it as much as a 35% chance that the protests in the streets might lead to regime change or the fall of the Ayatollahs. Well, the Ayatollahs went on a killing spree, killing, according to one estimate, 16,500 Iranian citizens in the streets. The Royal Guard, 150,000 man force that guards the cities against unrest on behalf of the Ayatollahs. They cut off internet and phone for a week, so the world couldn't see what was happening, and the resistors couldn't make it hard. It made it harder for them to communicate with each other. Trump threatened action. Then Trump said he talked to, I guess, the Iranian regime and got them to stop killing. I guess I haven't seen reports that the killing has continued, but the regime has not fallen. This is definitely, I think, the most protesters that the regime has killed since they took over in 1979, but so far they remain in power. Lance?
Okay. So when it comes to Iran, I can only speculate what's happening. But right now, as we speak, an aircraft carrier group is steaming towards the area, um, the sea between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And when it's in position, Trump will be able to decapitate them with airstrikes. Now, um, right now, I recommend that you don't take anything Trump says as what he's really going to do, because he's very strategic, and he knows that the best thing to do right now is not let the Iranians know what he's going to do. So he's he did this the last two times he attacked a country. Before he attacked Maduro in Venezuela, and before he attacked the Iranian nuclear facilities, he was very evasive and unclear about what he was going to do. But I think that he's going to decapitate the Iranian government.
So I have a question. Like we talk about this on other pod TV shows,
Okay.
and people who know more about the Mideast than I do ask, well, can he really decapitate the regime? Iran is 2.5 times the size of Texas, and the Ayatollahs aren't stupid. Shouldn't they be able to hide from the missiles that he would send? Now, I agree that it makes sense. That is a move that Trump knows, which is to say one thing and then to do something else. Would he really be able to take out the Ayatollahs?
The truth is that exactly what he's capable of doing, I don't even think he knows, because the enemy gets a vote in all conflict. So I don't guarantee perfect success, but the more you attack them, the more you degrade them, the more likely they will leave office, and that they won't be able to govern, and that Iran can return to a kind of civilized country. So yeah, he'll attack them, and I don't think they can withstand what he's going to do, because they're already they could be overthrown by their own people right now. All that Trump is going to do is make it easier for them, but they're not. As I stand by my last statement, that they're not going to survive this. This is the end of the Iranian regime.
That would be good. And if Trump facilitates that, I have to give Trump credit. We don't know what is going to happen, obviously. It will be tough because you can't take out the royal guard, this separate military. It's not the army. The army defends the nation against enemies from the outside. It's this giant force that defends the leadership against its own people, and you can't really wipe them out because they're mixed in among the people in the cities. I mean, maybe you can take out some headquarters.
I think it's called the IRGC.
Okay. So
Are we
anyway,
done? But I'd like to say something I found out. There are two things that we found out about the attack on Maduro, and the reason that the people that are left in charge of Venezuela are doing exactly what we say is because it was astonishingly effective what we did to them. It turns out that Maduro was being guarded by Cubans because he didn't trust his own people because they hated him. And so we used sonic weapons. Now, I know that those are Those were used against crowds during COVID, believe it or not, in Australia. But what we did was we took out his guards to the point where no one could move. They passed out because of the sonic weaponry that no one knew we had. But this might be of some interest to people. The bodies of the Cubans were returned recently, and they had their bodies in boxes that were about 1 by 1 foot square. So we used a weapon on them that turned them into soup, basically. And they apparently it scared the shit out of the Venezuelan dictators. And that's why they're doing what we say, because they're next.
Right,
So the point I was trying to lead to about Iran was that Trump has things that nobody knows about. And so they're not going to survive this. He may not kill every one of them, but the Iranian regime is going to be overthrown.
All right. Good if it is. So one more thing about Venezuela. Trump has taken control. Trump has taken 6 Venezuelan oil tankers, each with roughly, I don't know, 100 million to 140 million dollars worth of oil, and diverted them to the country of Qatar, where one of his campaign donors, a guy who gave $6 million to his campaign, he's turned him over to this guy who's going to be the oil broker for selling more than $500 million worth of oil. They'll make a nice commission on the sale, and nobody knows where the money is, if it's been sold yet, or where it's going to go. Will it go to the people of Venezuela? Will it go to the people of the U.S. to pay back the cost of taking out Maduro? Will we continue to grab oil tankers? I don't think anybody knows at this point. All right, next thing is, we're 30 days past the legal deadline for releasing 100% of the Epstein files. The trouble with the new law that was passed requiring the release of the 100% of the files is it contained no penalties or means of enforcement. And because of that, so far only 1% of the files have been released.
You done?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things Trump was elected to do is to release all of the Epstein files so that the guilty parties can face some disclosure and some justice. And there seems to be stonewalling on the part of the DOJ, the Department of Justice.
Okay. The last person that tried to prevent the file from being released was a Democrat judge a couple of weeks ago. And the DOJ, the reason that they haven't released all of them is that they just found 5 million new documents that they're going through. Now, these documents have to be read by the DOJ first, because they don't want to. These women were raped when they were children, and the DOJ doesn't want to rape them again as adults. So because we don't want their families to be seeing their names in the newspapers as having been sex slaves on Epstein Island. So I have no problem with the DOJ reading through these things before they release them. Now, the thing that you fail to realize, Rick, is that so far nothing about Trump has been found in any of this. And the person that keeps getting brought up is Clinton. Every time they release more files, there's more pictures of Clinton. Now, we know that Clinton went to the island. In fact, the poor girl that you guys killed what was her name? The one that
Virginia
yeah,
who committed
yeah,
suicide.
Yeah, that the Democrats killed. She claims to.
Why do you say that we? I mean,
She
all right.
claims
Anyway, that's
she
just
claims in her book to have said that she was with Bill Clinton, and then mysteriously a few weeks later she's killed. Oh, she committed suicide. Sorry.
All right, fine. But
So the
wait, because
Oh, I don't get
there's
you.
a whole,
I don't
there's a
get you.
Democrat
Yeah.
response to talk about Bill Clinton,
Yes.
and that is fine. String him up, find him guilty. We don't reveal everybody,
Yes.
prosecute everybody.
Yes.
This 2 days from now marks the 25th anniversary of the last time Bill Clinton was president. So fine, we don't care if he was guilty, and he certainly liked to do a lot of stuff with his dick.
Okay.
But
your
we also
response?
want to know about the current president.
Okay.
And
I'm telling
you guys,
I'm
hold
telling
on,
Yes.
you guys, the DOJ so far has released a bunch of stuff about Clinton
Yeah.
and subpoenaed Clinton, and he refused to testify before Congress.
Yeah.
But one of the pictures of Clinton wasn't on Epstein Island. It was implied that it was, but it was in some fancy ass hotel pool in Dubai.
Yeah. And the girl's face was covered because she was a victim.
Yeah, but that's okay. So maybe so, but that wasn't an Epstein thing. It was a thing. You guys seem to be cherry picking to avoid, guilty people of your own party.
Rick, here's the problem. We have reams and reams of evidence that Clinton was on the island. And by the way, if you were on that island, did you know that the women were not allowed to wear clothes? So Clinton went to this island where women weren't allowed to wear clothes. And
I've never heard that report.
Yeah, I know you've never heard that because you're a
I know,
Democrat.
but sometimes it's because I haven't heard it, and sometimes it's because it's bullshit.
No, that's what the investigators of on our side are saying. That this if
It's possible.
Okay, Rick, you're fact checking me while I'm talking.
I am. I can do that. I got a computer.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm trying to make is this: all of the evidence, what Democrats like to do is lie. Okay, and I'm sorry to call you a liar, Rick, but first you said that Trump was colluding with Russia, and now you're saying that Trump was part of the Epstein files and was a rapist of children.
We don't know that.
I'm saying that you're lying.
I just said we don't know that.
Okay, then shut the fuck up.
No, I can talk.
No, what I'm saying is you are implying things about Trump that you can't prove. Don't interrupt me. But the only proof we have is that Democrats were playing around with whores on Epstein Island. That's the only proof we have.
Wait. Sorry, I was fact checking. So
all that we have is that Democrats were responsible, not Trump. Even though you can say Trump and you can try to malign him, you have no evidence.
Yeah, because you guys are redacting.
You had the evidence.
His name.
You had the evidence against Hunter Biden and against Clinton for 4 years under Biden, and you did nothing.
All right, here we go. So nothing shows what Epstein did. Not that they were prohibited from wearing clothes. Close, though. Epstein dressed victims in Victoria's Secret bikinis and lingerie. So, I mean, that's not a lot better, but it's not naked. It's still pretty bad. And then here's what AI says about, based on available records, testimony, and statements, there's no evidence that Bill Clinton ever visited Epstein Island. However, there's also no evidence that Trump ever went to Epstein Island.
Yeah, but there are
hold
witnesses.
on, let me finish.
There are
Come on,
witnesses
hold on.
that saw Clinton there.
Shut up. While Clinton did fly on Epstein's private jet multiple times, at least 17 flights related to the Clinton Foundation, he's consistently denied visiting the island. So Clinton was in flight logs 17 times. Trump was in flight logs 7 times. None of those flight logs show him on Epstein Island.
Okay. Well, we have the victim, Virginia Giuffre, who you killed, saying that she fucked him
Okay.
when she was underage,
So,
and it was against her will, by the way.
I mean, he is known for having done,
But-
except for the underage part.
we have no evidence whatsoever. There's not a single witness that says that Trump did anything to him. You're just, what you are is you have nothing to show. You have no proof. So you're maligning his character because you can't defend the record of your party. And by the way, this guy Walz, you were going to have him be vice president of the United States.
Oh, okay, good.
And he's
good,
completely
good.
corrupt.
So, I don't see anything about Clinton banging Virginia. Anyway, all right, let's go to that. Let's talk about Walz.
Yeah. You're going to defend Walz.
Yeah, I am. Let me do it, and then you can rebut.
I know. I read what you said. Go ahead. Fine.
Okay.
You say it.
All right. So there was an organization
Uh-huh.
called Feeding Our Future, which was supposed to provide meals in Minnesota for children. This was a fraudulent effort that stole between 250 and 300 million, with only 3% of the funds they received going to meals for children. It was founded in 2016. Signs of fraud were found by Minnesota Department of Ed in July 2019. 78 people have been indicted. 50 pled guilty, 7 found guilty at trial. Some are still awaiting trial. The tax status as a nonprofit was revoked in February 2020. They applied for grants to feed kids during COVID, threatened lawsuits, filed suit in November 2020. Minnesota Department of Ed complained about the fraud to the USDA. The FDA started investigating in February 2021. Walz became governor in January 2019. So the investigations have been going on since 2019, roughly the same time Walz became governor. So, and this fraudulent organization with several whiteys at the top, this Amy Bach, but a ton of Somalis, helping, probably, I don't know, I looked through the list and it looked like, 80% Somali assholes being the fraudsters. But yeah, a ton of fraud was going on, but Walz and the Department of Ed and a bunch of government agencies seem to be aware of it and trying to fight it since 2019. It's not like this was something that popped up all of a sudden under Trump. They've been fighting it since 2019.
And that's what Walz says. That's what the Democrats say. It turns out that that little incident that you just mentioned is a mere fraction of what Walz is responsible for. Let me say right off the bat that we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, possibly 18 billion. And the reason that Walz had to resign from withdraw from re-election, is because we have witnesses that worked for government agencies and say that they that they briefed Walz on what was happening and Frey, and he didn't do anything about it. And the reason is because he needed the Somali vote. And that's okay with you guys. That the way that Democrats get elected is by bringing in illegal aliens and people from other countries. And then those people in return, like these Somalis, have been giving money to Democrat candidates in Minnesota. And so Walz doesn't want the gravy train to stop. He gets thousands of votes from the Somalis, as do all Democrats, and they get money for their campaigns, and they may be getting bribes. We're going to look into it. Now, a few weeks ago, we thought it was 9 billion, but now we think it may be 18 billion. And that's just in Minnesota alone. It turns out that the Somalis and others have been defrauding government agencies for Democrats around the country. We're looking into the same schemes in Illinois and in California. Now, I can go on about California unless you want to respond, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, yeah, I think there was a ton of fraud in Minnesota. I think there's a ton of fraud in a lot of states, like, is it Missouri or Mississippi, with Brett Favre and friends diverting millions of dollars supposed to go to poor people to build his daughter a volleyball court. There was Mrs. DeSantis fraud in Florida, but there were 10 million diverted to go into dark money campaign contributions for her pet campaigns. Yeah, there's plenty of fraud every place. California has 1/9 of all the people in America. I'm sure you can find a ton of fraud here, though you guys will, focus on the fraud in the blue states.
Well, we're not. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, let's so.
All right.
And
so-
one more thing is,
yes.
Somalis look scary as shit.
Okay.
They have ridiculously skinny necks. They're just skinny people, and they look like the people in, what was the name, Captain, what's his name, where the Somali pirates take Tom Hanks's ship. And yeah, they look scary, and they're a good way to scare people. And they were frauding, I mean, not all of them, but bunch of them, dozens of them were frauding their asses off. But that, it's weird to not weird, but slightly disjoint to send ICE in because you had Somalis doing kid meal fraud.
Okay. So, in order to deflect, you realized that you couldn't argue. You looked up AI, which is your only way of defending yourself because you have no idea what's going on. And so it couldn't, I could tell by your response that it couldn't refute what I said, that there's massive fraud in Minnesota. I'm not finished. Not finished.
We're not denying. We're not denying.
Yeah, Rick, all right, let's start again. Rick.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, nobody cares. So what has happened is you accept that there's fraud in Minnesota. So you came up with something that is about somebody named Brett Favre in a
quarterback, Brett Favre.
The quarterback, Brett Favre. And you're talking Favre, sorry, and something that DeSantis's wife is accused of.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the same as the industrial scale fraud that the Democrats have perpetrated on our country. So let me explain. About 15 years ago, Obama brought in thousands upon thousands of Somalis. Now, 80% of these people are still on welfare. And so the reason that we brought ICE up against them is because not only did they produce $14 billion worth of fraud, but we found out that a lot of them don't have any right to be here. They were given temporary status. Temporary status means that if there's some sort of terrible situation, a catastrophe in your country, you're allowed to come to the U.S. for a certain amount of time, and when the catastrophe is over, you have to go home. Now, Biden didn't care about that, so he didn't send ICE in to grab them. But Trump realizes that these people are scum and that they have to go home. So he's sending ICE in to say, look, the temporary status is over. The civil war that you had is over. We don't need 80% of you to be on welfare, and we don't need you to be opening these massive businesses across the state that are supposed to be taking care of children and instead just keeping the money. Those organizations that they founded, that money could have gone to children that really needed the money. Now, as a Democrat, I realize you don't care about children. They're your voters, so you have to defend them. Like, Brett Favre did something bad too. But the problem is that by defending these fraudsters, you're actually making Minnesotan children suffer. Black children from Minnesota and white children from Minnesota, American citizens. They don't get the $14 billion. They could have had that $14 billion, and they told Walz about the problem, and he did nothing because they're his constituents. Rick,
So
what does AI say about that?
AI says there is a culture of public assistance among Somalis, but saying that it might be 81%, might be 71%, but then I'm looking at other studies.
When you say public assistance, does that mean they're on welfare, Rick?
Well, it's different forms, but
I see.
yeah, generally it's under the welfare umbrella.
Do you think ICE should get rid of people that come to this country and after 15 years they're still on welfare?
I don't know, but
You don't know that. That's a tough one, huh? Can't figure that one out.
okay, fine. So I'm just
So what should ICE do? What if ICE tries to get rid of these Somalis, Rick? What if a lady puts their car in front of them?
so
Should the ICE just back off and let the Somalis keep defrauding our country?
so
Would that make you happy, Rick?
so Florida, for instance, Minnesota has roughly 120,000 undocumented immigrants. Florida has more than 12 times as many of those people. So you guys love focusing on the Somalis in Minnesota. We don't hear as much about the undocumented, the illegals, the 1.4 million, 0.5 million in Florida, because that's a red state.
No, we'll get around to them. We're not having any problems with that because what's happening is DeSantis is cooperating with the government that we elected to do the job instead of Walz, who you were going to make vice president, trying to stop them so he can keep the illegals in his state and keep them voting for him and giving him money.
Yeah, I doubt that since they're only 2.2% of the population.
That's enough to swing the election, Rick.
All right, so let's go.
It's Mark. I'm interrupting y'all.
Or any like reasonable, rational beliefs, since you're a Canadian and Canada's the home of people being reasonable.
Yeah, Rick.
Wait, you gotta unmute
You
yourself.
got to unmute again and everything. While he's unmuting, I was going to make a point and everything that Lance will love.
Wait, we
because I
gotta
just-
turn that up.
Stop, much.
Because I just
Director,
looked it
here
up.
we go. Let's.
Sorry about that.
Because I just looked it up, Lance. You would actually be surprised that there was a growing movement of Somalia Republicans that actually voted for Donald Trump because Somalis are actually considered conservative on a lot of issues. They are Muslim, but they have some very conservative stances in some of their politics. So there was actually a growing number of Somalian Republicans, and some of them are now thinking that they are regretting that vote. So there wasn't a sizable amount of Somalis that actually voted for Trump.
Well, if they're voting for Trump, we better keep them here. Call off ICE.
That's fine. With regards to Canada, I mean, we've had. Pardon?
Please continue.
Yeah, so with Canada, I mean, we had generally balanced with regards to public opinion immigration for a long time until more recent years, and that's been a political hot button issue. For instance, around Carney's election, in a national poll, there were questions about what matters to Canadians.
Is the
And
Canadian Prime Minister?
pardon?
Carney is Canada's Prime Minister?
Mark Carney, yeah.
Okay.
So in the surveys that were coming out, the top 5 things that mattered to Canadians at the time were things around immigration, housing, taxes, inflation, and cost of rent and mortgage, and so on and so forth. So and cost of goods and services. So very sort of middle, lower income people core concerns. And so, and it wasn't having enough building of homes or places for people to live in proportion with the amount of immigration for a few years. And that brought those items to the top of the charts, so to speak, for Canadian concern. So immigration is a relevant concern. I mean, Canada, I think we're having some programs around building more housing, but we had an irrational immigration policy for a few years, because if you're going to do it, one of it's obviously with immigration. Another part of it is just if you're going to have people come in addition to, I believe it's approximately 1.4 children are born per an average Canadian woman, then you need to have housing to match that. And we weren't matching that to the tune of several 100,000, right? So it was really quite critical. And so across the spectrum from, old people, they were buying out properties, young people can get started out. And so standard life stages for a lot of people, at least in the contemporary period, being delayed in many ways. So it became quite controversial. When I hear this American conversation, it's a little bit more confrontational. There's groups like ICE aren't really in Canada, and the relations between police and citizens, there tends to be more peaceable relations.
You guys say sorry a lot. I assume that Canadian cops also say sorry.
Maybe. I mean, if they're in Newfoundland, they'll probably say sorry.
You guys like to say ooh for out.
When I'm in Vancouver, I do see, when I go to various events or things that aren't public in Vancouver or other cities, I do see more often than not police officers at Tim Hortons. I'm just assuming that they're getting donuts. So that's
yeah, they get donuts here just as well.
Wait.
Does the Mounties still exist? Do the Mounties still exist? And are they?
They do. They do still exist. I have a really good picture with one of them. Yeah. When I was VPFA of my student union, we had $1 million budget for the student union, and we had to go to like these events. And so one of them I had was with a guy dressed as a Mountie. That costume, and I think the other one was dressed as a Scottish bagpipe singer with the kilt and everything. Yeah.
Can I say a possibly not exactly a racist thing about why Somalis look so skinny? It's because if you live in a country where it's hot as hell, you want to be skinny to more efficiently dissipate heat, so you don't get overheated. While if you live close to the Arctic Circle, you need to hold in heat, so you're more blubbery, you're rounder. And this also applies to people's balls.
There's a more practical reason. There's a more practical reason.
Yes.
Rick, there's a more practical reason though as well, because Somalia's had and I'm sure Scott can relate to this because he follows journalism and all along those lines just as I do. But Somalia, as well as some of the other countries in that area, have had a starvation problem for a number of years. They have faced some serious famines in that part of the world. So that is the other reason that a lot of them are skinny, is because they have been in a famine area. That area has been known for famine for decades.
Yeah, and there's been some research. I don't know the validity or even how solid the quality of evidence this is for this claim. I do recall for the Inuit, for one of the categories, like in America, you have Native Americans under sort of the rubric of indigenous, and you have over 600 bands. In Canada, we have 624 maybe bands, but they fall into 3 big rubrics via federal decision in 1974, I think. And it was basically First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. And so for me, Inuit, with regards to the diet thing Rick is making, a lot of their lifestyle and their way of living, it does include a lot of blubber. I'm sure you probably heard this in passing, a bunch of you. And so, but when they switch to a standard processed North American diet, they get bad health outcomes a lot faster than your standard North American. I don't know how well established that is.
Have
but
you eaten
this
blubber
is-
as a
have I
Canadian?
eaten?
Blubber.
Not that I recall off the top. At the same time, I mean, it's not. It's like speculative biology. It's not on the level of like Philip Rushton, but it's pretty speculative, right? So it's not really solid enough to make a case.
Scott,
Okay, it's
Scott,
to stop. Go ahead.
Can I speak to Scott?
Yeah.
Scott, please, now that you're a famous talk show host, please speak slower and louder. Okay?
Of course.
'Cause, yeah, it's hard to, when you rattle off your numbers and statistics, it's really hard to keep up with you. The other thing is this, you said something very interesting in one of our conversations. You said that because of your military background and having worked on a farm, you know how to withstand extreme cold. How do you do that?
You just do it. You do it in groups. If you do it in community, you are willing to put up with more, and then you get a little bit more adapted to it. You never get entirely used to it. I assume it's like this for longshoremen. Because I think that we're a social species. Probably it's easier to suffer together than alone. In fact, being alone for most people is suffering. So I think there is something to that. In the military, in Canada, let's say you have the Navy or the Air Force or the Marines, the Armed Forces, you go in to basic training in a platoon of approximately 60. By second week of basic training, which can range from 8 to 9 weeks depending on the program they have in place, 12 if you're in officer track. Within the first 2 weeks in either, approximately 20 will drop out, either for injury or they don't meet the first physical fitness test, or they get injured, or they have a wig out. One young woman I knew, she apparently took her mattress, shoved it up against the door of her pod, and was having a breakdown. Didn't want to go out anymore, and so they put her in what they call CAC bar. CAC, I forget what it stands for. It's when you behave badly. PAR is just person in awaiting release.
Slow it down, enunciate.
So they put everyone in the same thing. So in terms of endurance, I found being in a community in doing things in endurance, it was easier to do it together than to do it alone. But you knew a few people weren't going to make it. And people will get concussions. People, would have all sorts of issues.
So, Scott, just really quickly, in that same line and everything like that, do y'all, because we are having ice issues right now here in Durham, so a lot of the people will be going to work later tomorrow. Even though it's MLK, so some people will be off anyway and everything like that. But I'm just wondering, do y'all even get out for ice and snow in Canada? Because it is a southern thing where just a little bit of snow can get you out. And we didn't even have snow, but they were complaining about the ice on the weather, on the news channels here earlier today, and letting people know that the roads will be slippery since we're in the 20s to this evening and everything.
I mean, I don't even keep track of it. If it happens and it's there, but it doesn't bother me, I dress. Like I look outside, then I dress accordingly. It's not really.
Growing up in Colorado, I would end up on my ass once a year, roughly, from ice. In Canada, you know how to walk on ice without doing the flip into the air.
I wear muck boots most places.
Okay. All right. So, Mark, what do you got for us?
Before we get to music and everything, I've actually got a question for Cassidy and all along those lines, but Scott may be interested as well, and even Lance. But we have a music series that's starting at the Cultural Center that I work at, and the first concert will be Wednesday. It'll be featuring Brandy Younger, who is a harpist, and all along those lines. And I have a acquaintance of mine, a very close acquaintance, that had the pleasure of playing with Stevie Wonder as a celloist. So, Cassidy, I know that you're into music. I was just wondering if there was a favorite instrument that you had, and maybe it's a instrument that isn't as well known. We all know the drums, the piano, and all along those lines. And this is for everybody on the call. Is there any favorite instrument? Because I'm actually looking forward to hearing the young lady plays the harp, and she is a professor out of I believe it's NYU, but I know it's one of the colleges in New York. But do you have a favorite instrument as a musician? Because you are a musician.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think my favorites are just guitar and piano and drums, like a drum kit. I love hearing the drums. I don't know how to play them, but I love hearing them. Um, and I'm more of just a vocalist by like study, but um, an instrument that I really love to hear is it's similar to an African kora, like that stringed instrument. I forgot the exact name of it. I can find it, but it's like it's in the kora family of that like that string long instrument that you sit and play. I think it's really, really beautiful. I think the kora is really beautiful too. And I've seen like a legit like African kora player like put on a show in an authentic way, and it was just beautiful.
So you got to say cowbell. And also, when I was growing up, there was a guy who'd show up at just like any kind of like, talent show, public, meeting of Democrats, Republicans, if you needed a little light entertainment, he'd bring a regular handsaw and he'd play it with a violin bow and it would make musical-ish noises. I'm not sure it was actual music, but he played it as if it were. We talked off camera. We talked about how shitty toys were in the 60s.
Right.
Mr. Potato Head, which was good for about 5 minutes of entertainment. And we had other entertainment that wasn't entertaining. And sorry for the guy with the saw, but not that great.
What about you, Lance? Is there a favorite instrument that you got in mind? Maybe you're a bagpipe kind of guy.
The spoons and jugs. I know that in North Carolina, most of the music's played with spoons and jugs.
And knees, don't people slapping their knees? Right?
Yep. That is very much a musical style. It's part of the Piedmont blues and everything like that. And there is actually a gentleman that I know, Don Flemings, that plays the jugs right now, so he can get an old gallon of whiskey or whatever and make great music out of it. But he now
That's a unique
here in
American
Texas.
contribution to culture.
That's called the Piedmont Blues.
Yes.
Like,
All right.
All right. How about
What
some,
was the question?
some weird instruments you have
It's a
known and
musician.
loved?
Oh,
There
weird
could be
instruments.
guitars. Didn't have to be weird. You made it weird.
I make my music weird. I'm gonna invite Cassidy to sing with me this song that I'm just gonna write on the spot. I started writing this song. Can you move the chair, Lance?
Swing that chair.
Just so people can see the keyboard. A little bit more, please. Thank you. I started writing this song a couple of nights ago, and so I'm gonna share it with you all, and I'm gonna invite Cassidy to add to the brilliance. I walk in the valley. I walk in the valley of the light. I dance in the valley. Dance in the valley of I crawl like a baby. I crawl like a baby in the valley of the light. Take us home. Hope you enjoyed that. Just a little riff. Stick around for the next episode, episode 3. Nick at night. Lance and Rick at night, naked at night. Thank you, Cassie, for that beautiful riff. We were just jamming and riffing. And I'm JD Mata. Stick around for this next episode. Bam! Bam! Bam!
Hi, Richard. How you doing?
Ahoy, Jennifer. Lovely to see you. I'm so excited we're partnering on Virgin Voyages.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, but I was thinking that maybe before we announce it, that we should decide on my official title at Virgin Voyages.
Yes, and I already have a few options for you.
Okay.
What about something catchy like, don't be fooled by the ship that I got. I'm now Jenny from the dock.
Okay.
Dame Jennifer Lopez.
Isn't there like a paperwork and like a sword involved?
Supreme Goddess of Mermaids.
You know what? Let's just tackle the title thing later. I'm just excited to share our gorgeous ships with the whole world.
Okay. Look, I'll brainstorm a little more and catch up soon on it. Mermaid in Manhattan?
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
This is Naked at Night with Cassidy, Lance, JD,
Yay.
Mark, Scott, and Rick. And I want to go back to Rosie here, the dear departed Rosie. Okay. Now, Rosie, we had to put her to sleep yesterday. It sucks. You feel, as I said, guilty, even though it was her time. Rosie was a very sweet dog. Not the smartest dog. There's a ton of stuff that dogs don't understand, and Rosie maybe understood less than average. And one reason that dogs don't understand a ton of stuff is that it's not their world. They live in our world. And, do dogs understand that we control light switches, that we're the ones who turn lights on? And if they understand that, do they understand that we don't control the weather? I don't know. But one reason that dogs can't understand a lot of stuff is they don't have language. Language is a really compact way. All right, we can lose Rosie now. But we got to move that pole so we can see Lance's face of Cassidy. Thank you. So once you can assign a word to a concept, you can think about it, it takes up less space in your brain because it's a compact symbol that might stand for something complicated, like sharding. Sharding is a whole thing. Sharding is when you think you're going to fart, but you actually poop a little bit. But that's a whole thing to keep in your head unless you have a word for it. Or Riz. Riz is, I don't know. I can't even define it because I'm old. But once you have a word for it, even if you don't have a complete picture of it, you can work with it in your brain. It takes up less space.
Are you talking about sniglets?
No, Riz.
But have you heard of what a sniglet is?
It's a word for some shit.
You make up a word for some.
Yeah, okay, so make up a word. You can fit it into your thoughts more easily than having to float the whole nebulous concept in your head. Now, Lance, this is Cassidy's face after 2 hours of painting. And it's good, but it's nowhere near as good as it's gonna be. But let's say Lance was super shitty. Lance could still do a super shitty job of drawing or painting Cassidy, or somebody else could come in here. You could have an art class where people sucked ass, and not if they study with Lance. You get really good really fast if you study with Lance. But or a cartoonist or a really shitty artist could draw Cassidy and it would still be recognizable as Cassidy because our brain probably uses combinatorial coding to store information. But when you have a thing like orange, which can be the fruit, which can be the color, it's probably stored in your brain as a pattern of neurons lighting up. And it's that combination that offers versatility and compactness to thinking that, say, 350 neurons light up to give you the cleanest thought of orange. Well, maybe, you've got something that's roughly orange. Maybe you get a glimpse of somebody wearing, like a vest to keep them from being shot or run over. It's got brightly colored. But maybe this thing only sets off, 70 of those 350 neurons that signify orange. That combination may be enough to still signify orange. A shitty drawing or painting of Cassidy may still be enough to light up your brain's, thought of Cassidy. And words are combinatorial, and this gives them versatility. There are only 26 letters in the English language, but out of those combinations of 26 letters, we can form hundreds of thousands of words. So 26 letters, we'd be screwed if each letter could only stand for one thing. Instead, the combinations stand for a thing. It's different from like Mandarin, where they've got thousands of symbols, where it's more of a system where each symbol stands for a thing rather than a combination of symbols. And it gives our thinking flexibility, and lets us think of things even when we receive incomplete information. Like a crap drawing of Cassidy might still give us Cassidy because it might still trigger enough of the neurons that stand for Cassidy in our brains. All right, next thing. What should the next thing be?
Hang on, I'd like to respond.
Okay, do it.
All right, so I just have a different issue. Earlier in the day, Rick denied that I warned people not to vote for Obama because I knew he would lose the Iraq war. And I said that.
I just said you didn't do it on the show.
Hang on. Yeah, you said we didn't. I know that. I'm not going to mischaracterize you. To clarify, we talked about it after it happened because I remember show after show, I was trying to say, look, Trump has crushed ISIS and Obama allowed it to happen. So we did talk about it a lot on the show, but not before Obama did it. It was, I guess we started the show after Trump took office.
Right after he got elected, certainly.
But I was always comparing the two because I was trying to show that Democrats lose wars, like when Biden pulled our people out of Afghanistan, leading to thousands of deaths, and like Obama did when he pulled our troops out of Iraq, leading to thousands of deaths. In contrast to Trump, who crushed ISIS in less than a year or a year and a half. I don't know the exact dates. The other thing I'd like to discuss, because I now have two people on the show, is last week, and I don't want to, I'm not saying this in an accusatory way, Cassidy, because if I was to accuse you, I'd be accusing every woman I've ever met. So it's nothing personal, and I'm not debating you. I just want to actually know more about this because it's something men don't really understand about ladies. So last time we said that that you would date a hitman. You said that you would date a hitman. So what is that? Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Dating a hitman.
Yeah, you said you'd date it. You said you would date a hitman, and don't be self-conscious because every woman I've ever met would date a hitman.
I'm curious. What's the what's your curiosity around this?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. Every guy has the same story. That if you went to high school with somebody and at the end of the day, after meeting that boy, you said to yourself, boy, that guy is the biggest asshole at this high school. I never want to speak to him again. I don't want to hang around with him. It's a good thing that I can stay away from him because he's mean and stupid and I hate the guy. That guy will be dating the girl you want to date a week later. And every guy I know has had this experience that women love bastards. And I'm
like bastards as in like the bad boy.
Yeah, that actually the most repulsive guy I knew in high school dated the woman I was in love with. Like, and every guy I know has the same story. Like it's and I actually have a theory about this, which I've said a couple of times, but it bears repeating, that if there's a room with 100 men in it and one serial killer, the woman that enters the room will make a beeline past the other 99 men, and she'll leave the room with the serial killer. So we were kidding around, and you said you would date a hitman. So maybe you can help us out.
I'll give specifics.
Okay.
It's not just any hitman. Like I wouldn't date like a serial killer per se. As I would date a specific serial killer.
Okay.
And I would date more of like one of those superhero archetype hitmans who are out doing like out saving lives, right? Like he's out getting the real bad guys.
A Dexter.
Yes. Yeah, like a Dexter, like a serial killer with extreme empathy, and those who are like literally like, yeah, like maybe they like a Dexter, like who are out murdering a bunch of women or raping a bunch of children,
Killing the people who are doing that.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a bone to pick with hitmen. Don't kill me, but I feel like hitmen. There are so many movies and TV shows about hitmen. I feel like there are fewer hitmen than there are if you're in the mob. Somebody who does a bunch of different stuff, if you ask them to, and also kills people. Like if you ask them to, they will rough somebody up. They will drop off money. They will pick up money, and they'll kill somebody if that's what you need. But I feel like most people who kill as part of their job have a bunch of other responsibilities.
Yeah, what you're saying is that in the mafia, the way it works is if you're in the mafia and the boss says go kill someone, you do it, and suddenly you're a hitman.
Right, and if you do a bad job, you get yelled at maybe, but you didn't you didn't dishonor anybody. You just turn out to not be great at it. Then maybe they go, the next time somebody needs to be killed, they're like, yeah, don't send Joey. Joey gets weird when he has to kill somebody. They send somebody else, and eventually, let's just send Vince all the time to do our killing.
So Cassidy would date Vince.
Well, depending on who Vince is killing.
Well, yeah, depending. I'm not like per se like, oh yeah, I like the bad boys. Like it's a specific type of. It's more of like the guy. I'll paint a picture for you. It's like a guy who's very unassuming and maybe like one for the underdog, and like very actually like really cares deeply and is only going to do specific crimes that will better planet Earth.
All right. So also there's like sociobiologically, a woman or anybody might want a partner who is good at obtaining resources. And in the U.S. right
like
now,
like wealthy.
Well, maybe wealthy, but like in the U.S., I feel like everybody has a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of change, and you want somebody who can deal with uncertainty and still bring home the bacon. And
literally, maybe they can like really actually butcher a pig.
Yeah, but you also, on the one hand, you want somebody who, like, is Gerard Butler. When the shit hits the fan, all of a sudden this guy or Liam Neeson, this guy has skills. You may not. He's bearable to be around in times of safety.
Survival skills.
Hey, quick question for y'all on this topic, since I know Lance is into the Pink Panther and all along those lines and everything like that. But Cassidy, would you date either Batman or Spider-Man? Because both of those had kind of that imagery and everything like that. So which one of those would you be going for? Would it be the Batmans of the world or the Spider-Mans of the world?
Oh, I think I have it would definitely be a Spider-Man just because I like that movie more and I feel like I'm more attached to the storyline. But I do feel like I'm more like me and my specific energy is more like Catwoman.
So if you date Batman, you're really dating, sorry, spoiler, you're dating Bruce Wayne, who at various times has been a trillionaire, the richest guy in the world. That guy, and he also like hires people to make cool shit for him. So, he seems like Peter Parker is a teenager who has all sorts of issues.
Peter Parker's more of my archetype that I'm thinking about in my head.
Okay.
I was thinking more like a Peter Parker type because he's definitely had some villain nature to him as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's unassuming. I really like people who are unassuming and like Like you'd never know, but like inside they're a secret Jedi badass.
Can I
Yeah,
make a
go
comment
ahead.
real quick? So, and I would like Lance's opinion in terms of his theory. So there's an aphorism, or and in Spanish is primero por amor y segundo por dinero. First you marry for love, and then you marry for money the second time around. Could it be that initially there's this like desire and for there's this curiosity about a man and being able to this danger element that's appealing, alluring to women. Just in general, it's a human trait, and and so and to serve to some degree of protection as well, right? But but for like a hitman per se, there's a certain degree of psychopath behavior that's associated with that, without a doubt, and that's going to definitely that will definitely into the relationship in the long term will show features, and so that initial interest and curiosity can really go bad. So I'm wondering if, and Lance and then Cassidy, maybe Lance, do you think that as a woman goes older and has had that initial really maybe bad experience that's associated with the bad guy, that it becomes quite the opposite, that she wants that an older woman wants to be with somebody that's going to provide maybe love.
All right, so I'm going to answer with the best explanation of women's behavior I've ever heard. First of all, the 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 way that women are attracted to dangerous and bad men is so evolutionarily instinctive that it's the same way that men are attracted to women's asses. The idea that a man might break the rules is good for a woman because he may break the rules when he needs to for her so that they can survive. But the latest studies show that the latest study that I read showed that women confuse men because their tastes change over the decades. So let me explain how it works. When a girl is a teenager, she's attracted to the most popular boys. She wants a boy that's her friends like, that her group likes. When she's in her 20s, she wants a guy that's hot and sexy. When she's in her 30s, she wants a guy that's going places and is sexy, but is ambitious and has a future. When she's in her 40s, she wants a guy that can provide, and this overlaps a little bit. It's also in their 30s, depending on the woman. And so in her 50s, she wants a man that she can get along with because they've gone through every other type and now they just want to relax with somebody. So,
and this is, I think, when you start getting women who are okay with a guy who's fat and bald. It's like, all right, as long
because they've been through sexy guys and they just want someone they can talk to.
And also, there are no sexy guys left by the time guys reach their 50s.
Well,
that's so not true.
So what I found is that the last, once a woman reaches her late 30s, it's not about poetry. We'll put it that way. The times when a woman is with a guy because he's sexy and she's really attracted to him physically and just wants to grab him, that's a young girl thing. That's not a middle-aged girl thing, woman thing. Anyway, did you want to respond?
Well, wait, before
Rick, we're talking about them, so that we get.
I want to know who's a sexy guy in his 50s.
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so many sexy guys in their 50s. I feel like 50s is a great age. Like 40 to 60 is like such a prime time for men, just personally. And I feel that's my input on that. But okay, so I read this really brilliantly written passage that's like was either like it's from I think an analyst of Carl Jung's work, like psychological understanding, and they talk about like the why women are actually attracted to danger is actually really connected to the repressed unconscious within them that's been like societally conditioned by, you know, like patriarchy. It's like for just like men, like both men and women, like in society, we are expect, and it is the way that it is. There's order to like who we are as people. Um, and just like how men are attracted to certain things in women or sexual assets of women, and women are attracted to danger, it's connected to the repressed part of their psychology because they have to, especially women who are in these roles of like wife, mother, all these like showing up as the matriarchal figure in a household or even just in a relationship, like a certain expectation of how they're supposed to show up. There's like it's like the repressed part of their unconscious that is a part of them. It's like their inner shadow or whatever that actually like craves experience and to be able to let go and to be able to like let go into their sexuality or whatever it is.
Not have to constantly exercise vigilance.
Yes, and not have to like show up in a specific way. So when this element of danger and someone comes to them, it's like that's that natural. It's a physiological and psychological thing that happens that builds the chemistry. It's like so women who are more likely, like I actually had it like a lot of my friends kept attracting narcissists. And it's like if I look at my friends, it's like it's those who have like high performing expectations on themselves and they're not fully expressed in certain ways, or they have been conditioned like high pressure households and family dynamics that they grew up with. And it's really interesting. Like I feel like you could get really deep in all of this.
Well, let me ask you about shit testing. There's a concept in pickup artistry, which is a whole little mini industry that tries to teach hopeless guys how to be better at, you know, getting and maybe keeping girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this idea of shit testing that women will make unreasonable demands, and you're supposed to know when they're making unreasonable demands and not go along with the demands, because women don't want somebody who's a pushover. They want somebody who will, women may think that, you know, that they don't want somebody who goes along with everything they think, because they may not always be right. They want somebody who, you know, is able to parse the world and see when the woman herself is kind of full of shit, and protect women from their own selves. Do you buy that?
I think yeah, like a certain maybe amount of like a man holding it. I don't even know if it's like fully about like the specifics, but I think there's something, but it's probably like this for men too, like attraction, right? Like it's like you never want someone, like I want someone obviously who respects me, that I can trust, but also like has a certain amount of dominance, and not in a way that's exploitive or manipulative, but in a way where it's like they're holding their own. There's an equal match in power, and maybe they even can hold power a little bit more as like a man, you know.
Yeah, Cassidy and Rick, it sounds like you were describing what some people used to call, and I've had my friends talk about it as well, deal breakers and all along those lines. Like some people are of the opinion that they don't want somebody that is maybe they don't have the right car or they have bad habits, and those can be deal breakers. So that's what it sounds like Rick was describing, that there are certain deal breakers that they may put out there as those bright.
There's a modern term that I like, which is getting the ick, where you might be with somebody, mostly it's a woman being with a guy, and you notice something about the guy, and all of a sudden you get the ick. It gives you the heebie-jeebies, and like a little behavior or a characteristic, like, say a guy still wears tighty whities, and you see the guy in his underwear for the first time, and it's like, oh no! And all of a sudden it reframes your point of view about the guy, and he might be a great guy, except you see that one thing, and he's wrecked for you.
Yeah, I think getting the ick. Okay, so I think getting the ick. I think we all have preferences, right? To what is attractive to us. I think it's very normal that we're all going to give each other the ick if we show at some point, the more that you get to know someone, you're going to see something, you're going to start to see all of someone, right? So I think that there needs to be like a little bit of an expectation to like get the ick and be like, okay, like what level of ick is this? But if there's like an extreme ick, it is hard to like that really like disrupts the rapport of chemistry that's built. Then I think it's sometimes that what I've experienced and what I've seen friends experience, it's like it's hard to almost psychologically move past that unless and everyone's ick is different.
Can you give a couple examples, not necessarily of your own, but ones you've heard about?
Yeah. Okay. So one of just my friend recently, her like a partner of hers like has like repeatedly shown like a lot of jealousy, and like it's like a like control and kind of just like repeated now, and it's been repeating like several different experiences that's just continued for a couple months, and that's now become like an ick that she can't see past. But I think for me, an ick that has happened to me is if I'm with a guy and we're in an event and I'm obviously with them, they've brought me, or we're in a relationship and they are flirting, like we're in a social setting and they're like openly like flirting in front of me, like that type of stuff gives me the ick.
Have you or your friends experienced like you were super horny, or one of your friends was super horny for a guy, and you get the ick, and it's like, okay, it knocks down your horniness for the guy by like 60%, but you still want to be with him because you like him?
Man, I mean, I'm sure. Oh yeah, like I've had it where like someone's breath was just so god awful, but like not all the time, just like in a few situations, like for intimacy.
What is it?
Yeah, that could definitely do it and everything along those lines.
The heebie-jeebies, you get the creeps all of a sudden.
Hey, Cassidy, I have to tease you about
Okay,
something.
wait, I've got one.
I have to tease you about something that Cassidy just said, because she said that one of her issues is flirtation and all along those lines. But she's in, and I'm just saying this as one that is also in that business. You're in the music and entertainment business, which is known for flirtation. I mean, I think everybody in the industry has to flirt to some degree or another. So how do you deal with that? Because you have to flirt if you're dealing with a fellow musician and all along those lines. It's part of the career.
You're very true. Yes, I agree. I guess there's like specifics, just like the serial killer thing. It's like it's not a specific. It's like because I'm a natural flirt and charismatic, and it's one thing if it's like innocent, but I'm also a Scorpio, and that zodiac sign is known to be very like detective and like annoying and possessive and all those things, but like energetically like can read the situation. So I don't mind if it's like playful, light, flirty, innocent, but like if it feels like they're trying to like pick someone up when I'm like with them or in a social setting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've got an example of ick, though not. I haven't experienced it in a romantic situation, but there have been times over the years where I've caught several adults eating their boogers.
Yeah,
And
that would be icky.
I feel like
That's a major.
yeah, if I felt like I felt like if I were a woman dating a guy and I caught him doing that, that would be a huge ick. Like even if I were dating Batman, if you caught Batman eating his boogers, that would
Yeah, that
be
would be a big time ick and everything like that. I've got another ick for you, and since it is naked at night, I will be a little bold and actually go out on the limb and everything like that. So hopefully you don't mind this comment because I'm going to try to keep it as clean as possible, but give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I once dated a cleaning woman, and all along those lines, meaning that she was in the cleaning business and all along those lines. So let's just say that when we got intimate in certain times, the chemicals that you have to deal when you're doing that whole notion of cleaning were in her body system. So that was definitely an ick for me and everything, because you could get
Like she would smell of Windex.
smell of Windex, or the lips would taste of like chlorine and stuff like that.
that's tough for her because
What's good porno movie ick titles? Like Booger Nights.
okay, Booger Nights. Yeah, that would be a crazy fetish. I now I have when I go home, I'm going to have to like see if that's a thing.
It would be like my stepmom's ick.
Well, speaking of icks, and since we're going on and we've got the next one will have to be shorter along those lines, but I did have a question for y'all. How close have you come from near encounters? And this is for everybody, including JD and everything like that, because I'll give you an example. I have come to being in two disaster situations. Fortunately, I was avoiding both of them, but if you know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, I went to school in Milwaukee, and I remember going to a jazz club, and many years after he was convicted of his crime, and we all know what his crime was and everything, I thought to myself, I walked past that neighborhood because sometimes I, even to this day, get around by mass transit or by foot. So I literally walked by, and I'm glad that he didn't look out the window and thought that I was tasty that particular day, and all along those lines. And there was another time that there was a blast that blew up a block here in Durham and everything, and I think I was on the bus maybe 2 blocks before that blast took place and everything like that. So those are like near misses in terms of either the criminal element or life catastrophes. So how many near misses have y'all had?
So this is a fairly distant one because a lot of people took this flight, but before 9/11, I took the flight about a year before. I took that flight out of Boston to LA, I guess, that a year later would be hijacked and flown into one of the World Trade Center buildings. And,
Cassie, you raised your hand.
Okay, so I actually specifically, okay, so I grew up in Washington State. It was a little bit of it's like in between the city and a mountain town. So it was we're a little wild. Like we would go out into the woods and party. And there was I was in the bed of a pickup truck with several other people going up this hill to this party. And I remember it very clearly. I looked at the stars and I was like, oh, something bad's going to happen. And I was like, I got to get out of the bed of the truck. And there were several other, we were all teenagers. So like teenagers in the bed of the truck with me. And they were like, no, don't get out. And I was like, I have to. And I was like, I'm just going to walk. And then the rest of the teenagers got out with me of the bed of the truck. The truck went around the corner and went off the cliff.
Ooh.
And it got caught in a tree. Everyone in the cab was okay, but we would have in the bed, like, yeah.
How close are you to Issaquah?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes from Issaquah. Snoqualmie, Washington.
Oh, I have a good
Lance, you have any close calls?
So I was when I was in college. There was my friend and I were out for the night, and we were walking down the street, and we saw a girl that we knew that was a friend of ours, and she was obviously drunk, and she was obviously being helped into a taxi by a very big guy. And we didn't know the guy, and it didn't look like she knew her that well either. And she was sort of out of control. And so my friend and I discussed it, and we realized that this could be really bad. So we need to go and find out what's going on here and just sort of make our presence known that, hey, we see what's happening here. So we go up to this guy who towered over both of us, and he turned and had the sweetest smile, and he was incredibly polite, and he shook both our hands. And we said, okay, well, it seems like a really nice guy, and you know, have a good time. Her name was Neela, and they got in the car and drove off. So a few weeks later, I found out that that particular area was the head of organized was a hub for organized crime in the whole country. And that particular guy, it turns out, was a vicious murderer. He was, our first look at him was correct. He was very dangerous, and he was habitually killing people for the mob. And I learned that day that if you are a very dangerous guy, you don't go around breaking small laws that will get you picked up. You're trying to murder people. You don't want to get the cops involved with you over some stupid little thing. So they're very, very polite. One more story.
Wait, before you do that story, let me say, I've been around people on
Wait,
a
what happened to the girl?
We saw her the next day. She was okay, but I mean, this particular girl, for her, okay could have meant anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, anything could have happened to her, and she'd be, oh yeah, it was fun.
in the 80s, in college, I hung out with some people who did a lot of steroids, and often they were very courtly because they knew that because of what they were taking, they had the potential to fly off the handle. And so they were very cognizant.
I just said roid rage for the people.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody who takes a shitload of steroids gets road rage, but I mean, roid rage, but people on them are aware of the potential and often will be like, yeah, I have to consciously remain chill because I don't want to be that asshole. I don't want to get myself in shit. I don't want to fuck up somebody just because of what is in my system. Lance, you had one more story.
All right, so the other story is there was another tenant in this industrial park. One of my neighbors moved in, and I went over when I saw him moving in. I said, so what do you guys do? And they said, well, we sell stereo equipment. And so I said, great, I'd like to buy. I need stereo equipment. And they said, great, sure. So these guys turned out to be very, very annoying and loud. They like to walk around on the roof and trample around them. And I would go over there and say, hey, get up, stop it. You just, you're making noise. You're loud. I don't know what you're doing up there on the roof, but stop it. Just cut it out. It's annoying. And they said, oh, we're very sorry. We didn't mean to annoy you in any way. We'll keep it down. So about 2 weeks later, the cops surrounded the industrial park, and they arrested these people when they came out because they had a meth lab. So if you've learned anything from our show, it's just because people are polite and friendly doesn't mean you can trust them.
Well, there
was a method to their madness.
One more lesson is
Method.
my ex-writing partner grew up in New Jersey, and across the street was a big-time, a guy high-ranking in the mob, and he was very nice to the neighborhood. And often, if you have a capo in your neighborhood, it's good because nobody is going to screw up in your neighborhood. You know,
Right.
nobody's going to like, you know, crash into a kid playing ball in the street because it's well known that if anybody fucks up in the neighborhood, that the mob guy has extrajudicial resources to deal
Right.
with it.
Yeah, a friend of mine in New York, they actually would have to join the mafia in some small way if they wanted to carry out business. So everyone had a little piece of the action, even if they were honest.
Yeah, I'd say that LA is the crime here is, I know that we're you know, Crips and Bloods and MS-13, but I feel like crime in LA is less organized than crime on the East Coast.
Well, one of the things that bothers me is that Trump goes into Washington, D.C., and the crime rate plummeted. And he offered to do the same thing for Chicago and L.A. And the Democrat governors of Illinois and California insisted, no, we like our crime. We think everything's just fine, and just leave us alone. So that just goes to show you how little the Democrats care. We could have our crime rate plummet in LA and in Chicago, but the Democrats don't want to help the Republicans. They don't want to cooperate.
Do you think, Lance, if Trump said crime is good for society a little bit, what do you think the Democrats would do?
Well, I mean, of course, they will burn down their city in order to rule over the ashes.
So LA, I looked up LA, violent crime. Homicides in LA were at their lowest in decades, with significant drops in rapes and robberies.
You think it's safe here, Rick? You want to go downtown?
So
with
no,
me
hold
tonight?
on, hold on. While violent crime fell, like killing, property crimes, which JD has suffered, theft, vehicle theft, have seen increases or remained high. So it's a mixed record.
Actually, I was thinking about you, Rick.
Yeah.
I have a theory that I'm beginning to develop over the years, and that is that I'm always arguing with Democrats about how to prevent women from getting raped. I've heard so many explanations. I've actually had Democrats tell me, well, look, it's only sex. So let me ask you a question. What do you think the penalty for rape should be?
You know, the 8 to 10 years, 12, 15 years. I don't
12
know.
to 15. Okay. So I'm for executing rapists. I think they should be killed. And life in prison is not quite good enough, but that's better than 10 to 8 years. So it's true. Democrats really don't care about rape.
I just said 8 to 15 years.
8 to 15 years. Okay. And I'm saying life in prison or execution.
So
you don't really care.
No, that's fucking bullshit, Lance.
She got raped, so the guy gets
Well, I think
10
it's like
years.
he's also has the same theory and concept as the serial killer thing. I don't know. There's nuance and paradox to situation.
No, what if it's a guy jumps out of the bushes? He clearly did it. He didn't know the woman. It was violent. He raped her, and then he ran away. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I
obvious he
agree
did.
with life in prison or execution.
So okay, wait. So there's
So you
hold on
a second. So are you going to execute everybody that does date rape and everything like that? Because this is a major problem on college campuses. So
rape.
No, I just said when the circumstances are things like total strangers, there's no nuance, there's perfect evidence, everyone's, there's no question about it. There's maybe a video or many witnesses, DNA evidence. That person should be executed.
Well, I know of distantly. I know of somebody. Don't know him personally. I know of somebody who is accused of committing 3 of those kind of rapes, and people think that this guy will go to jail for life. So
But what does that mean, Rick? Are you for it or against it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if it's like
I-
a situation though, where like two say they're friends, right? They're like good friends, and maybe they're wasted, and maybe there's confusion, and it wasn't like there's the nuance.
I deliberately said not that.
Okay,
kind of
so it's like a
situation.
brutal,
Well,
intentional
when
rape.
it's really when
Yeah.
the situation is really clear,
Yeah.
it's not he said she said. The
Because
you know,
yeah, I
there's
do
no
think,
ambiguity.
Yeah.
There's no. It could have been it could have been a date, or they were drunk. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, if they lock up a guy, say a guy is 35, 30, lock him up for 25 years, and if before you let him out, see if he still has the potential according to the opinions of experts. And I know experts aren't always going to be right, but maybe there's some way of telling, like 90% of the time, a guy locked up until he's 60.
Mhm.
Maybe it's okay to let him out after 25 years. I don't know. I haven't thought about it much. Obviously, they need to go away for a long
They
time.
gotta go away for some time and everything. But Lance and Cassidy, the question I've got to ask is and it comes back to the date rape that I mentioned earlier and everything, because it is a problem on college campuses, and sometimes it is entire groups of folks that will get together and rape a woman singly. Now, I think that there ought to be some sort of consequences for all of those people that participate in that heinous crime and everything like that. So, are you thinking that everybody that participates in that should be executed, Lance? Because that is something that does take place.
I
on
do. I'd
college
be
campuses.
happy to pull the switch. A gang rape? If several men gang rape a woman, I would be happy to pull the switch.
I'd be happy to assist him.
Understood. And I think that that's the.
That's because that's a brutal, intensive, and also for each of them participating in a gang thing, to watch a woman psychologically suffer at the hands of not one but multiple men. That's on a whole other level of brutality.
There's a whole nother level of brutality, but there are some women that actually, and that's where it gets kind of iffy, because there are some women that's their fantasy. I don't think that's yours.
Okay,
But then that's
that's
the whole thing. That's
that's-
consent. There's consent along with it, and them signing up for it to some degree and extent. I think we're rape. I think we're talking what we're talking about is brutal rape that's non-consensual. That's someone is planned with intent and action to rape someone, a woman, man, whoever. It can happen to men too.
All right. Should we have music now that we've had enough freaking rape here?
Now that we've had all this rape conversation.
All right.
Mark,
Yes.
what I'm going to share with you now in terms of music is, and Cassidy's welcome to jump in as well. I'm going to do some Latino stuff that I've written.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this is all Mexican. I call it Mexican American. It's cumbias, Mexican American cumbias. So I hope you like it. It's from Texas. Okay, it's Texan culture.
Texan culture.
And yeah, so and then if Cassidy feels like jumping in, adding her culture, Washington culture, it'll be Washington Mexican American vibe. That's what we're all about here anyway. Aquí está mi corazón. Oh my God. Oh, hold on a second. Aquí está mi corazón. Y está solitario. And here is my heart. And it beats loneliness. Dale, 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 dale. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ah, échale, compadre. Cassidy.
Come on, and join the wild circus. Come on, and dance a little dance. Come on, and share a little romance. Come on, and do a little. I know that love is true. I know the sky is blue, and that is why I do. Sing this song, dance.
Yeah! Here we go. Aquí tengo 1000 besitos y él desea tus labios. And here are 1000 kisses and desire your lips. Dale, 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 dale. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Cassidy!
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Hey, this is our last episode. We've been doing 3 longer episodes instead of 4 shorter ones. So.
Okay, so this was our last episode for tonight. Thank you, Cassidy. Wow, that was amazing. Mark is back. What's up?
Great job, and we're wrapping it up, it sounds like, so that's a great thing, and all along those lines, so that's good. So we'll wrap this up, and this has been 3 amazing long episodes, and all along those lines, so that's great. So get ready to wrap it up. Got a couple of commercials to get us on out of here and everything. I did have a quick question for Rick and Cassidy before I get us totally out of here on this last episode and everything along those lines. And one is, one, I did not realize that she was a Scorpio. I mean, she's a fellow water sign because I'm a Cancer, and that harvest that I was talking about was actually going to be on July 1st. So definitely it's good to have that water energy here in this place and everything like that. So Cassidy, I know about that Scorpio energy. My brother is a Scorpio, an October Scorpio, and all along those lines. So yeah, I sometimes say that Cancers are the quieter versions of Scorpios, because we know Scorpios have a wild spirit and everything like that. We have one too, but we're just a little bit more subtle with it, and I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, those Taurus are hard, bro. They're like bullheaded.
Yeah,
you're
I
very bullheaded.
In my youth, my neck was wider than my head, which I was very proud of, and that's kind of a Taurus thing.
That is a Taurus. What is JD?
Oh, me?
I'm a Gemini, bro.
Yes.
Oh, and Gemini is both my parents. Both my parents are Geminis. And Lance?
Lance is peeing. I think he's the guy who needs to take a leak.
No,
Oh, wait, here he is.
someday I will take a leak, but right now I'm in Capricorn.
He's
Lance
a Capricorn.
He's a Capricorn.
He's a Capricorn, the opposite of Cancer. That's why I get along with him all right, because
Like
it says
he's
Cancer,
a
Capricorn
Capricorn, right?
energy.
We got the full spectrum here. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's the full spectrum, the whole total spectrum here on this show
What
and
are you,
everything.
Mark? Which Mark?
Cancer.
Cancer, Scorpio. I'm Gemini, Taurus.
And Capricorn.
Wow, no wonder this
Yeah.
show is clicking.
Yeah, that's why it's clicked. It's got all that different energy. I think we've got everything represented but the fire signs. Because I don't think Taurus is fire. I think that's Earth, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
Capricorn and Taurus are both Earth.
Right.
Gemini's air. So yeah, we are missing a fire sign.
Yeah, got to get a Leo or somebody like that.
Capricorn is a fire sign.
Got to go find a fire sign. Maybe the other model is a fire sign. We'll have to find that out the next time that she's hearing everything along those lines.
Yeah.
So we got to find that fire sign. The quick question I was going to ask you, and I'm going to play these commercials to get us on out of here because we got to do the news in the morning. Me and Ross, Rick do and everything is, how many times have y'all had a faux pas and everything along those lines? Because I was thinking about that earlier. I mentioned that I did actually 2 interviews, and after I got done with one of the interviews, I realized that on the corner of my mouth was a little bit of toothpaste. So we know that we all have those faux pas in our life and everything like that. So how many times have you had a faux pas, and what was it? Maybe you
All right,
like
the worst one for me is, when I was a nude art model for a long time. And a couple times I remember looking down and I had a zit on my nads. And I'm like, that's not
right.
No, that would probably give somebody the ick.
what kind of faux pas you had, Cassidy?
Oh, go ahead, Cassidy.
Oh, I'm sure so many. I can't think of it. I don't know. I'm perfect. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm like definitely, I think I could be a little like chaotic as far as like just like, I don't know. There's a lot of ADHD.
I have a quick question for Cassidy, and you are such a unique individual. You are so beautiful. It's this unique beauty. But everybody resembles somebody. Do you get Drew Barrymore a lot?
I get it all the time. People stop me in LA and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like, yeah.
Do you see that, Mark? Don't you see total Drew Barrymore?
I can see the Drew Barrymore. I was actually wondering if she ever had one of those Janet Jackson moments that we all know is one of the most infamous faux pas of everything like that, where things popped out that aren't supposed to be.
Oh yeah, one time I was 20 years old. I just done my first load of laundry on my own, because my mom did my laundry. And I decided I'm just going to wash everything. So I washed all my underwear and I went commando to the roller rink. And at some point I was skating backwards and I crashed into a girl and we both landed on the ground and I'd blown out the crotch of my disco jeans and everything had spilled out and it was bad. And I had to get out of there.
You had to run away?
Yeah, well, yes.
JD or Lance, and I'm going to get this commercial to get us on out of here. Any faux pas?
JD. So for me, I don't know if this is a Nick, but it was the most embarrassing. I sang the Miss Texas pageant with my fly open. And I couldn't understand why people in the front row were laughing. I thought they were laughing at my singing, but then I realized I walked off stage.
Oh no.
And one of the reporters says, "Man, your zipper." I go, "Oh, it's so embarrassing." By the way, people have said to me that I look a lot like Adam Sandler. Okay. So we got the wedding singer here with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, the whole thing going on.
We should do, for sure. Lance,
and then we're out of here after Lantis.
All right. I was at a party and there was a friend of mine and I was kidding around with him about how girls like him so much when he's and I kind of knew that his girlfriend that had just come into town that hadn't seen him in a year was standing there, and he suddenly looked really embarrassed, and it turned out that he'd been having an affair and he couldn't hide it. So I actually caused this couple to break up, probably by my little.
Yeah, I did
comment.
that once. That's a bad thing.
Yeah. Yep, that's bad. Right. On that note, we'll get out here with the education video, and I'll catch y'all on the news show. Well, I'll catch Rick on the news show. I'll catch y'all in 2 weeks.
All right. See you then. Thank you.
See you, Mark.
Yeah. See you. And good luck on your movie premiere on. You said it's Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday. This on January 23rd, 20th.
Okay,
So,
cool. January 20th will be that, and January 21st, I'll be hanging out with the 42-year-old harpist because that's who's coming to the center and everything like that. So we'll
Really?
have pictures to show on the next show.
Right on. Thank you,
Peace.
Mark. You're amazing.
No problem. Later.
The Grammys for dignitaries, educators, and support staff around the state of Oklahoma and worldwide. We cannot do this without the support of the people. So we thank you, I thank you, for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation Foundation. I thank you.
What has time told you about the power of friendship in your life? Hi, I'm Trevi A. McDonald, author of the novel Time Will Tell, a coming-of-age story about the power of friendship in the lives of 3 Chicago women who are attending their 10-year high school reunion, and the sequel, Roundabout Midnight, a story about resolving issues, healing hurts, and celebrating Black love. You can find out more about my books at my website, www.drtrevi.com. Thank you.